Chapter 448. The Apocalypse. The old dragon god was about to be angered to death by Yi Zichen. Just as he was about to break through, he dispersed his spiritual energy and chose to maintain his level, causing him to be heavily injured by the reversal of spiritual energy. This was the best place to recuperate, yet he actually wanted to leave. "Brat, what exactly are you thinking? Let me out!" Yi Zichen roared with bloodshot eyes. "Hurry, let me out, it'll be too late." The old dragon god frowned. No one had dared to speak to him like that in so many years. However, Xiaokiki noticed Yi Zichen's bloodshot eyes, so she walked in front of the old dragon god and grabbed his sleeve. "Old grandpa, don't get angry. Yi Zichen might have something urgent to do if he wants to go out. Just let him out." "Huh." The old dragon god snorted indifferently, then waved his sleeve and pushed the two out of the subdimension. Yi Zichen, who was sitting in the room, suddenly opened his eyes. At that moment, his bed was also stained with golden blood. He ignored his injuries and turned around to look at Xinyuan Xiang, only to see her looking at him worriedly. Did she feel as well? "How is it?" "What do you mean, how?" Xinyuan Xiang looked at him in confusion, then asked worriedly. "I saw you suddenly cough up blood just now. Did that geezer inside bully you?" Xinyuan Xiang rolled up her sleeves and snorted. "Take older sister in. See if older sister doesn't rip off that geezer's beard." "What?" Yi Zichen frowned, then rushed out of the room as fast as he could. Wei Chun and Tai Bai Jinxing had already disappeared from the living room. Yi Zichen put on his shoes and ran downstairs. Xinyuan Xiang, who was following behind Yi Zichen, suddenly stopped when she saw that. She covered her mouth with her hand, while her eyebrows were filled with shock. The streets were filled with slime monsters that should have appeared in the other world. Several hundred huge abyssals wielding clubs continuously destroyed everything in the modern realm with their weapons. It was as if the apocalypse had arrived. Yi Zichen suddenly turned around, spread open his wings, and hurried back to the mansion. F***CK off. Yi Rong unfurled her white wings and kept releasing holy light to protect her back. Xiao Yumei hugged Tian Tian tightly and covered her eyes with her hands. She silently said, "Don't be afraid." With the help of old Lord Taishang's pills, the four Ho brothers, who had already advanced to the false earth immortal stage, kept wiping out the demonic creatures in the surroundings. Only then did Yi Zichen let out a long sigh. It was great that they were still here. "Zichen, you don't need to worry about this. This time, the devil race should have launched a large-scale attack. You should quickly take your people to stop them." Yi Zichen bit his lips and walked in front of Xiao Yumei. At this moment, Xiao Yumei's body was trembling uncontrollably. She bit her lips and used her hands to protect Tian Tian. She was terrified. Yi Zichen pulled her into his arms, lifted her chin, and looked at her with a warm smile. "Zichen, don't be afraid. I will solve all of this. Trust me. Wait for my return." "Yes, I believe you. You must be careful." Tears welled up in Xiao Yumei's eyes as she nodded heavily. Yi Zichen clenched his teeth and turned around. "Xinyuan?" "Virum." A dazzling golden light was released from the blade, causing the low-leveled abyssals and the huge abyssals to be attracted by it. "Demons, don't you want to capture me?" Laozi is the reincarnation of the Yellow Emperor. "Come." Even though Yi Rong told him to ignore them, he still had to lead the demonic beings away. That was the only way to minimize the possibility of them getting into danger. "Come." Laozi is the Yellow Emperor. "Don't you want to capture Laozi?" "Come." Yi Zichen flapped his wings, then quickly flew in the opposite direction of the mansion with Xinyuan's sword in hand. It was clear that Yi Zichen's plan worked. The moment he said that he was the Yellow Emperor and the dazzling Xinyuan sword in his hand. Roar! The huge abyssals roared, causing the low-leveled abyssals to instantly turn around and chase after Yi Zichen. "System, this is what you told me that I don't have time, right? You actually King know everything, right?" Yi Zichen clenched his teeth so hard that they nearly shattered them. This time, the demons had already sent out all of their abyssals. Yi Zichen looked around and saw that the entire city should have been taken over by the abyssals. More importantly, There were actual demons among the abyssals. Creak. Dam system. Yi Zichen cursed silently in his heart. The time was exactly the same as the time of the mission, 7 days. It was clear that the system had already predicted that this would happen, but it actually didn't mention anything about it. What it wanted me to do was simply to prepare a path of retreat for myself. Does it really think that I can run away by myself in this sort of situation? Yi Zichen smiled coldly as he gripped Xianyuan, sword's hilt tightly. Xiangjie, please. Yi Zichen chucked Xianyuan's sword high up into the air. All of a sudden, the Xianyuan sword in the air split into tens of thousands of sword images. Blaze buff. Sharp blade buff. Xianyuan Xiang, who was within Xianyuan's sword, continuously formed hand seals. Not long later, the sword images gradually turned fiery red. Little girl, come and play with Big Brother? A demon youth teased as he grabbed a girl's chin. The girl struggled with all her might and cursed angrily. F***ck off. Hee hee, do you want to die? Can't you see? If you don't want to die, then stay with Big Brother. Big Brother can guarantee that you won't die. His crimson tongue continuously slid across the girl's face and neck. This time, the girl did not refuse at all. At that moment, her dignity was nothing compared to her life. Fall! At that moment, a stern shout sounded out in the sky. A flaming sword suddenly appeared above the head of the young devil, who was enjoying teasing that woman. Boom. An explosion of flames. As expected, the girl beside him was dragged into it as well. However, the moment before she died, she smiled with tears in her eyes. At least I'm still clean, right? F***ck. Yi Zichen, who was in the sky, coincidentally saw this. He clenched his fist tightly and frowned towards Xianyuan Xiang. Is it possible to not harm the normal people of the modern realm? Stop dreaming, brat. Xianyuan Xiang retorted mercilessly. Look at the current situation. The demons have already mixed in with the people of the modern realm. Even if I target the demons, the aftermath is still not something that normal people can endure. This isn't the time for you to be merciful. Abandon the normal people of this city. Otherwise, if the demons invade other cities, the consequences will be even more severe. Yi Zichen's arms trembled. After a long while, he let out a long sigh and looked up. Chapter 449. The Army of the Three Realms. A seductive moan sounded out from within the sea of purple mist. A naked woman was on the ground, while a bronze-skinned man lay on top of her. She continuously cooperated with the man's movements and tried her best to satisfy all of the man's needs. Just so that I can't survive. A flaming sword descended from the sky and pierced the man's body. Just when the woman on the ground thought that she had been saved. Boom! The flaming sword exploded. I don't want to die. The woman screamed, but she was swallowed by the flames, leaving behind only ashes that were blown away by the wind. At that moment, Yi Zichen's heart was already numb. He didn't know how many normal people had died from the aftermath. It was also at that moment that he saw the ugliest side of humanity in the short half an hour. Hurry up and run. A man and a woman held hands as they ran forward on the street, while crawling monsters that spat slime followed behind them. Just as they were about to make a turn, they noticed that the street they were running towards was also filled with low-level abyssals. There was already nowhere else to go. Hubby, wife, do you love me? The man suddenly looked towards the woman beside him with a solemn expression. The woman was momentarily stunned, then nodded. Yes, then go and die for me. The man's expression instantly turned menacing. He pushed the woman into the crowd of abyssals, while he ran into the nearby bushes. I want to live. As expected, the woman who was pushed into the crowd of abyssals was bitten to death. As for the man who abandoned his wife, he continued to run forward. I hate men like you the most in my life. Just as the man thought that he was lucky to have escaped, a slightly tanned woman with an extremely alluring figure suddenly appeared in front of him. The woman's pupils were gray, she wore a light red robe, and her hair was light pink. F***ck off. There were no abyssals on the street. The man, who had just escaped death, frowned in annoyance. He raised his hand and pushed the woman crack. His arm was forcefully broken by the woman. Then, the woman lifted him by the collar and flew into the air. Finally, she landed on the spot where the man's wife had died. "Let's go with her." He gently threw the man towards the group of abyssals, and the low-level abyssals that had been waiting for a long time rushed over the moment the man landed. As she listened to the man's endless screams, until he couldn't even scream anymore, the alluring woman looked up at Yi Zichen, who was using the Xianyuan sword to unleash area of effect attacks to hunt down demons. The Yellow Emperor? Looks like he's the most fun here. Due to the sheer number of demons, even with the Xianyuan sword support, Yi Zichen's effectiveness was minimal. Even now, he couldn't find Wei Chen's men. However, he believed that they were definitely fighting on the front lines. Holding the phone tightly in his hand, the control of Xianyuan's sword had been completely handed over to Xianyuan Xiang. At that moment, Yi Zichen was continuously contacting Yang Jian, the Great Sage, and Ko, Erlang Shun, Monkey King, Third Prince Neza. Erlang Shun, what's wrong, bro? Monkey King, what business do you have with me, old son? Third Prince Neza, I'm playing soccer, Sky Sovereign. God of Thunder, Sky Sovereign actually at the three of them. Why do I have a bad feeling? Mother of Lightning, ditto. God of Fortune, ditto. All of a sudden, the atmosphere in the group became tense. Due to the lack of time, Yi Zichen directly sent a voice message in the group. The demons are attacking the modern realm, requesting reinforcements. The moment the message was sent, Yi Zichen's words echoed throughout the entire heavenly court. All of the deities in the heavenly court looked up into the sky. The Jade Emperor, the Queen Mother, the three Pure Ones, and the others who weren't in the group also looked up. The laws of the heavens. Just who is it that actually spied on the laws of the heavens? All of a sudden, the Jade Emperor and company all began to calculate. However, Yang Jian and company clearly knew that it was Yi Zichen who sent it. Erlang Shun, wait a moment, I'll immediately go get the troops. Monkey King, Canopy Marshal, dummy, old son is waiting for you at Mount Huagua. Canopy Marshal, understood, I'll go get the rake. Third Prince Neza, Sky Sovereign, wait for me. Oh yeah, send me the commander seal. Yi Zichen directly sent the commander seal over. After receiving it, Neza immediately replied, Sky Sovereign, Big Brother Yang Jian, and I will go over together. Only the few of them were left in the group. As for God of Thunder and company, they couldn't just say anything in that sort of situation. Howling Celestial Dog, Yang Jian, who had just returned to his manor, took out the commander's seal and called out. Not long later, a black pug with its tongue sticking out ran out. Stop being an idiot. Simon, let's go to the South Heaven's Gate. Whoosh. The howling celestial dog turned into a black-clothed young man and nodded. Yang Jian squinted his eyes, then held the commander's seal in his hand. All troops, gather at the South Heaven's Gate. When Yang Jian arrived at the South Heaven's Gate, Neza was already standing on the wind-fire wheels, holding the heaven and earth ring and wearing the armillary sash, while 80,000 celestial soldiers and heavenly generals stood behind him. Not long later, Yang Jian's 100,000 celestial soldiers and heavenly generals also appeared at the South Heaven's Gate. Gulp. The guard at the South Heaven's Gate gulped. This situation, are we going to fight? True Lord Erlang, Third Prince Neza, you guys stop bullshitting. Move. Yang Jian raised his hand and chucked the guard to the side, then squinted his eyes towards the heavenly court's heavenly generals. Let's go. The great sage did not stay idle after returning to Mount Huagua. At that moment, his several 100,000 monkeys stood in several thousand square ranks on the empty ground outside Mount Huagua and stared ahead with sharp gazes. Hey, the three realms have been quiet for too long. I, old son, am taking you guys to fight. Hurry up, okay? Are we going to fight the heavenly court? One of the monkeys suddenly asked. The great sage rolled his eyes in annoyance. What's there to fight in the heavenly court? What's so good about the heavenly court? I, old son, I'm already sick of it. Stop bullshitting and follow me, old Sunday. Let's go. At the same time, Yi Zichen let out a sigh of relief when he saw that the others in the group had already set off. He put his phone back in his pocket, then licked his lips, Just as he was about to go hunt abyssals with Xianyuan Xiang, a playful laugh sounded out from behind him. You actually have the mood to play with your phone at a time like this? Turn around. It was only then that Yi Zichen noticed that a woman had silently appeared behind him at some point. Demon! Xianyuan Xiang's gaze tensed. When she noticed the situation, she quickly controlled Xianyuan's sword to fly over. Chapter 450. Hibiscus. The corners of the coquettish woman's lips curled up slightly. However, under that gorgeous face, there was a power that made one's heart palpitate. How did you guys come to the modern realm? Yi Zichen stared at her. The woman pursed her lips with a smile, then pointed towards the sky in the distance. Yi Zichen looked in the direction she was pointing, then noticed that there was a gigantic black hole there. Black figures continuously poured into the modern realm from the hole. Do you see that? The woman smiled, then combed her hair behind her ear with a smile. Let me introduce myself. You can call me Hibiscus, the flower of the modern realm. Hibiscus. The demons actually know of Hibiscus. Of course, don't think that the demons are all boorish men who don't know how to flirt. At least, I feel like I'm rather interesting. Hibiscus pursed her lips with a smile. Hibiscus pursed her lips and chuckled, her fingers stroking her smooth cheek. It's just a pity that this place is about to be taken over by those unromantic people. Don't underestimate that woman. I can feel that she's at least a late-stage human immortal. Xianyuan Xiang's voice sounded out in Yi Zichen's mind. Xianyuan Xiang's voice sounded out in Yi Zichen's mind. Yi Zichen nodded. He had also sensed the danger Hibiscus was in. I don't know when the army of the three realms will arrive, but Bingqing in the modern realm is about to fall. I don't have time to waste with Hibiscus. You came here, naturally, to take you away. You're the Yellow Emperor, right? Hibiscus interrupted before Yi Zichen could finish. Lord Black Dragon promised us that if we take you away, we will be able to enjoy a place in the modern realm. Is that so? Yi Zichen's expression also darkened. He grabbed Xianyuan's sword sheath. It seems like I can only fight. Bang! 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 Yang Jian continuously swung his lance above a barrier. That was the teleportation point to the modern realm, but for some reason, he was unable to pass through. Can you do it? If you can't, then I, old son, will do it. The monkey couldn't wait any longer. He smashed the Rui Jingu Bang onto the barrier. Dong! The huge reaction force sent the monkey flying 1,000 meters away, but the barrier did not show any signs of shattering. It should be the self-protection mechanism of the modern world. At this moment, a fatty with a gloomy expression appeared beside them. I've already tried many ways to pass, but there's no way at all. The present world's self-protection mechanism has been activated. Even if a celestial king came here, he wouldn't be able to do anything. Then what should we do? Yang Jian's palms were sweaty. His brother was waiting for him to lead his troops over on the other side. More importantly, he had wasted too much time here. The Jade Emperor might come over soon. Just as he was thinking about this, he saw the god of thunder and pagoda-bearing heavenly king leading an army. Yang Jian, Neza, great sage, heaven's equal. Jade Emperor's decree, come back with us. Oomph. The great sage snorted without thinking. He tossed the Jingu Bang into his mind and curled his lips. If you wanted to go back with you, let's see if you have the ability. Tell the Jade Emperor to think about the rod he suffered back then. Why are you guys doing this? The god of thunder shook his head with a wry smile. Both he and Oldly knew very well why they were sending their army. They were also in the Red Packet server, so they naturally knew about the situation in the modern realm. Oldly and I can give you 6 hours. If you still can't go to the modern realm within that time, then come back with us. We'll put in a good word for you, and you might be able to get off lightly. If you can go in, then we'll say, we didn't catch up. Good luck then. Thank you. Yang Jian cupped his hands towards the god of thunder and pagoda-bearing heavenly king Li, then looked towards the barrier. This barrier must be broken. Boom! A huge explosion sounded out in the sky. Golden blood continuously dripped down from Yi Zichen's body, but he continued to look forward coldly. At the very beginning, he was actually able to suppress Hibiscus. However, as time passed, the commotion on his side became louder and louder. causing quite a few demons to hurry over. At that moment, Yi Zichen was basically fighting against 100 demons by himself. His surroundings were already filled with demon corpses. Cough! Yi Zichen coughed up a mouthful of blood. After the battle, Yi Zichen's eyes were no longer as deep and clear as before. At that moment, his eyes were filled with a faint gray color, while his face was as pale as paper. At that moment, it felt like even a gust of wind could blow him over. However, even so, he still stood in front of the demons without retreating a single step. None of the demons dared to take a single step forward. I can't retreat. Mother Yi and Yume are right behind me. If I fall down here, then everything will be over. He had solemnly promised Xiao Yume that as long as he was here, everything would be resolved. The demons did not dare to advance. The corpses lying beside Yi Zichen were proof that they were already scared out of their wits. I'll hit him. Suddenly, a strange cry sounded out from the demon's side. The shadow of the cudgel kept flashing in front of them. This sudden attack immediately caused the devil race side to fall into panic. Oh my God, Boss Yi, save me. A young man holding a club ran out from the crowd. He held a lollipop in his mouth, while a few strands of hair stood up on his head. Behind him were the members of the demon clan who had been beaten black and blue by him. Anyone who takes another step forward die. Xin Yuan's sword drew a golden line on the ground, causing the demons who were chasing the young man to stop in fear. They looked at each other, but none of them dared to take another step forward. Although there were plenty of Demon King level experts among them, the ones lying on the ground, there were plenty of Demon King level experts as well. You scared this baby to death. Go Yuzhan pushed up his glasses, rested his club on his shoulder, and licked his lollipop. Go Yuzhan, why did you come here? Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows in confusion. I don't know. I just thought that we lost the siege when I saw a bunch of monsters outside. I was so scared that I didn't even have time to put on my pants. I just ran with my club and fought as I ran. Go Yuzhan replied with lingering fear. Only then did Yi Zichen notice that the brat was only wearing a pair of underwear. They were red and very eye-catching. Yellow Emperor. As expected of the Yellow Emperor's reincarnation, Hibiscus also smiled. At this moment, Hibiscus also smiled faintly. She narrowed her eyes, and her pink hair suddenly turned fiery red. Her pupils also turned red. In the process of this transformation, her strength was also continuously rising. She actually hid her strength. Yi Zichen's face was already filled with unconcealable shock. At that moment, his spiritual energy was already on the verge of drying up, and he was already fighting while injured. Yet this woman actually, all of a sudden, he felt like he had no hope. However, at that very moment, a black figure suddenly appeared in the crowd. Chapter 451. Fighting to the death. Nobody was able to see who the figure was, including Yi Zichen. Yi Zichen's fiery eyes of truth had been activated the entire time, but when he looked at the figure, he felt like there was a layer of silk covering the figure, which completely blocked his detection. It's actually you, Hibiscus smiled. Why are you helping the Yellow Emperor? That's none of your business. The figure spoke up once again. There's no need for you to lower yourself to deal with him with your status, right? Hibiscus squinted her eyes indifferently, then raised her eyebrows with a smile. But Black Dragon promised, how about I treat it as you returning my favor? The figure interrupted her mercilessly. Treat it as you returning my favor by not dealing with him this time. It seems like I got a huge advantage. Hibiscus pursed her lips and smiled. Hibiscus pursed her lips and chuckled. After dispersing all the devil energy in her body, she nodded non-committally. Deal! With a leap, Hibiscus disappeared in front of Yi Zichen. Then, all of the demons beside her, including the Demon King level experts, fell to the ground without a sound and lost all signs of life. That's all I can help you with. Good luck. With that, the black figure disappeared from the mist, as if he had never appeared. Boss Yi, who was that? Go Yuzhan licked his lollipop and asked. Yi Zichen shook his head, then looked at the disappearing figure. I don't know either. Half an hour later, Yi Zichen and Go Yuzhan met up with Wei Chen's group. The uninjured members stood guard around the tea house, while the injured members were being treated inside. Wei Chun held a cigarette in his mouth as he observed the situation outside with a pair of binoculars, while Tai Bai Jinxing gulped down a bottle of mineral water. How about giving up? After a long time, Wei Chun put down the binoculars and raised his eyebrows. There were truly too few people on their side, while there were too many abyssals. It wasn't a matter of whether or not they could clear them out. Instead, it was a matter of whether or not they could survive. Are you talking to me about giving up? Yi Zichen squinted his eyes, then grabbed Wei Chen's collar. If you say something so irresponsible to me again, then I don't mind starting with you. We can consider what Old Wei said. What was unexpected was that Tai Bai Jinxing was also helping him. He glanced at the other members in the tea house and said, "This is the only combat power you have left. Do you want to use these dozens of people to fight against the millions or even tens of millions of devil army outside? This is a war we have no chance of winning. Yang Jian and the others are already on their way. We just need to wait a little longer." How long has it been? It doesn't take much time for the three realms to reach the modern realm, but do you see their shadows? Tai Bai Jinxing squinted his eyes and smiled. I reckon that the modern world has already activated its self-defense function. The people from the three realms won't be able to come. Impossible. Yi Zichen shook his head, then took out his phone to send a message to Yang Jian and company. Sending failed. He didn't believe it and sent a message to the others. He even sent a message in the group. However, all the messages displayed were that the delivery had failed. Don't even think about contacting them. I've already tried. Yi Zichen clenched his fist tightly. Then what do you think we should do? In this situation, do we still have a place to retreat? With our combat power, we should be able to fight our way out if we fight with our lives on the line. Let's leave Bingsheng to them. I can try to connect to the three realms. Forget it. Yi Zichen shook his head and interrupted Tai Bai Jinxing. If you guys want to then go, there are too many people I have to protect here, so I won't leave. He took out the last pill from his bosom and threw it into his mouth. Then he picked up the Xianyuan sword in his hand and silently left the room. Yi Zichen walked indifferently in front of a seemingly endless army of abyssals and soldiers. When the abyssals saw him, they all rushed towards him. Die! Several beams of sword chi shot out from the Xianyuan sword in his hand. Even after clearing out a large group of abyssals, there were still more abyssals rushing over. He still did not care, fight to the death without retreating. Seriously, a moment after Yi Zichen left, Tai Bai Jinxing shook his head with a sigh. How much longer? About an hour. Wei Chun chucked the binoculars to the side and grabbed his silver jacket. What are you going to do? I can't let him face these abyssals by himself, right? The Yellow Emperor helped me back then. I can't let him die outside. Wei Chun smiled, then put on his jacket and left the tea house. All of you die. Yi Zichen continuously slashed the abyssals in his hand. None of the surrounding demons were able to escape, and all of them fell to the ground. Yi Zichen, behind you, Xianyuan Xiang suddenly called out. However, at that very moment, F***CK off. Wei Chun kicked the demon behind him away, then walked over with a cigarette in his mouth. Why did you come? Weren't you going to retreat? Yi Zichen asked plainly, then took the chance to pant heavily. He had already used up too much of his stamina and was already in a state of exhaustion. Sweat continuously dripped from the tip of his nose onto the ground, as if it was free. Wei Chun smiled. Boss is here. Wouldn't it be a bit inhumane for me, the little brother, to run away? At least you have a bit of a conscience, Yi Zichen smiled. Yi Zichen smiled. Wei Chun nodded. But how do you think we should deal with these demons? Naturally, just as Yi Zichen was about to speak, he saw several dazzling lights flash in front of him, while countless shadows of staffs appeared in front of them. Children, charge! F***CK, this damn monkey! Another angry curse sounded out from afar. Stop blanking out. F***CK them up. This group of disgusting monsters, as well as those black and swarthy ones, kill them all for this daddy. Lousy will reward whoever kills the most. This familiar tone, the great sage, Yang Jian, the people of the three realms have arrived. Yi Zichen, who had already fallen into despair and was prepared to die with them, suddenly released a brilliant light from his eyes. The people of the three realms have arrived. There's still a chance. How is this possible? Wei Chen was also stunned. The information he received clearly wasn't like this. It was impossible for the people of the three realms to come to the modern realm right now. The abyssals surrounding Yi Zichen all ran back as if they were summoned. At that very moment, a silver halberd fell from the sky. Bang! All of the abyssals within 100 meters were killed. At the same time, a man in silver armor appeared in the sky. Chapter 452. Hostages. Chapter 452. Hostage Yang Jian stood proudly in front of Yi Zichen with his halberd, while Yi Zichen, who was covered in blood, smiled. You guys finally came. All of a sudden, Yi Zichen felt like crying. It was fortunate that he didn't choose to leave. Even so, too many people in the modern realm had already met with mishaps. It was not the time to let down his guard. Isn't it all thanks to Lord Fatty? A chubby fatty suddenly appeared beside Yang Jian. Yi Zichen couldn't help but shake his head when he saw Yi Zichen. Yi Zichen couldn't help but shake his head. Fatty-een, you came as well. Be careful. One of the demons that should have been killed by Yang Jian actually crawled up from the ground. The fatty smiled, then turned around and punched with his left hook. Bang! Yi Zichen sent the huge demon flying with a punch, then clapped his hands and snorted proudly. I, Lord Fatty, have trained before. You want to sneak attack me from behind? I'll give you 2 guts. F***CK, he didn't die. Isn't this just slapping Lousy's face? Yang Jian raised his eyebrows in annoyance, then reached towards his halberd with his right hand. Die. He directly nailed the demon to the ground, and only then did he smile proudly. Little bastard, you're trying to act dumb in front of your Lord Yang Jian. Death is your only way out. Sky's sovereign. Big bro. At the same time, the monkey and third Prince Neza also hurried over. Yi Zichen nodded repeatedly as he looked at the familiar faces. Thank you. At that moment, he really didn't know what to say. If they didn't come, then the modern realm might really have been taken over by the demons. Z's, there's quite a lot of people. At that moment, a playful laugh sounded out in the sky. Everyone looked up and saw Gu Li holding Chi Yu's sword, while the 12 demon sovereigns and Su Yun stood beside him. Actually, Su Yun gave off a very strange feeling. Yi Zichen did not completely believe that he had truly become a member of the demon race. What's more, he did suspect that the figure just now was Su Yun, until she saw the thing in his hand. You may. Yi Zichen's eyes twitched. Mother Yi and the Ho brothers also hurried over behind him. Boss' sister-in-law was captured by the demon race. The Ho brothers' faces were filled with anxiety. When they looked up and saw Su Yun, they said, "It's him. He said he's a friend. Now that you're in trouble, he wants sister-in-law to see you one last time." Creak. Su Yun. A pair of wings appeared on Yi Zichen's back. He glared at Su Yun, who was smiling faintly with bloodshot eyes. You're really despicable. How ridiculous. He even suspected that the shadow that helped him was Su Yun. What's so despicable about it? It's a tactic, understand? If it weren't for the fact that you brought the people of the 3 realms here, I wouldn't have to resort to such underhanded methods. But actually, this is also good. I have always disliked this woman. She stole a man from my disappointing sister. I have long wanted to kill her. Return you may to me. Yi Zichen charged into the sky with bloodshot eyes. One of the 12 demon sovereigns in front of him punched him. Dong! Yi Zichen fell heavily onto the ground, while golden blood continuously flowed out from his mouth. Golden blood? A black-robed man walked out from behind the 12 demon sovereigns. The moment he appeared, all the demons bowed towards him. Lord Black Dragon. Bro. Yang Jian and company all surrounded him. Yi Zichen coughed intensely, then struggled to stand up from the ground and clenched his teeth. Su Yun, return you may to me. Yi Zichen charged up once again without caring about his injuries. This time, it was not the 12 demon sovereigns that acted, but Lord Black Dragon. He grabbed Yi Zichen's neck and swiped his finger across Yi Zichen's mouth. It really is golden blood. Are you someone of the god race? Got my ass. TSK. Yi Zichen spat on Yi Zichen's face. The other demon sovereigns all stepped forward, but were stopped by Lord Black Dragon. Can you tell me the origin of your golden blood? F***CKU. Yi Zichen glared fiercely at Lord Black Dragon, then looked to the side. Xiao Yumei, who was in Su Yun's hand, seemed to have been restricted by someone, as she continuously shook her head at him. Don't be afraid. I can definitely save you. Even though Lord Black Dragon was grabbing him by the neck, Yi Zichen continued to comfort Xiao Yumei with his hoarse voice. However, Xiao Yumei continuously shook her head, as if telling him to give up. He's stubborn. Lord Black Dragon squinted his eyes and laughed coldly. He wiped away Yi Zichen's saliva and snorted. If you're not going to say it, then die. Eat my old son's staff. At that moment, a golden staff streaked across the sky. Lord Black Dragon subconsciously loosened his grip. Yang Jian also frowned at this moment. Yang Jian also frowned, howling celestial dog. Woof, woof. The howling celestial dog turned into a large black dog and caught Yi Zichen on its back. At the same time, he and Third Prince Neza slowly flew towards the great sage and looked at the demons. Let my bro's wife go, and Grandpa will spare your lives. Yang Jian looked at the demons coldly. Lord Black Dragon smiled, then glanced at the great sage and company, victorious fighting Buddha, Third Prince Neza, true Lord Erlang. Quite a few big shots from the three realms have come. Grandson, since you know there were big shots, then hurry up and F***CK off. Get my bro's wife back or else. Huh. Yang Jian's words were laced with threat. In response, the Black Dragon King merely smiled indifferently. At the same time, he gave Su Yun a meaningful look. Su Yun immediately understood. He grabbed Xiao Yumei by the neck, then slowly walked in front of Yi Zichen with the 6 demon sovereigns. Yi Zi, give Xiao Yumei back to me. OL3, you're not that kind of person. Sure, Su Yun snorted. Su Yun narrowed his eyes and snorted. Have everyone in the 3 realms withdraw from the modern realm. I'll return Yumei to you, untouched. I agree, Yi Zichen replied without thinking. But you have to let her go first. You still want to bargain with me when she's in my hands? Don't even think about pointing at those people from the heavenly court. The moment they make a move against us, I can break this woman's neck. OL3, stop talking about relationships with me. Tell me your choice. Do you want this woman or the modern realm? Hesitation. Hearing that, Yi Zichen felt an endless struggle in his heart. During this period of time, everyone's gazes were on him. Xiao Yumei shook her head nonstop at him. Ding dong. System notification. Choose the modern realm. Sorry. Yi Zichen knelt on the ground and shook his head apologetically towards the people who were in danger. Then, he looked up towards Su Yun. Chapter 453. Drowning in despair and hatred to live. Everyone was stunned. None of them expected Yi Zichen to make such a choice. The system notification also told him to choose the modern realm, but he couldn't do it. He couldn't abandon his woman for the greater good. Perhaps I'm really selfish. Tears flowed down uncontrollably from Xiao Yumei's eyes as she continuously shook her head, as if telling him to give up on her. However, Yi Zichen merely smiled and shook his head. I'm a selfish person. Sorry. Yi Zichen. Oh, Yi Zichen. I really couldn't tell before that you have such a good way of picking up girls. Su Yun smiled sinisterly, then pointed at the soldiers of the 3 realms. Let them go. Yi Zichen nodded, then flew over to Yang Jian and company. When he arrived, the 3 of them were still bickering with Lord Black Dragon. Bro. Yang Jian immediately walked over. The apologetic look on Yi Zichen's face deepened when he saw the 3 of them. The 3 of them had paid a huge price in order to help me, but now I'm telling them to go back. Yang Jian, great sage, Neza, take your people and return to the 3 realms. The 3 of them were completely shocked by Yi Zichen's words. Sorry, they made me choose. I can't abandon her. I'm really sorry. Take your people and go back. Yi Zichen smiled apologetically. Yi Zichen smiled wryly apologetically. Yang Jian frowned and wanted to say something, but the great sage pulled him back. All right, we're leaving now. The great sage dragged Neza and Yang Jian away, while Yi Zichen repeatedly muttered sorry. Gradually, the soldiers of the inner three realms left the battlefield. But even so, they still killed a lot of demons when they left. They're all gone. Return Xiao Yumei to me. Yi Zichen walked in front of Su Yun with a tired look. Su Yun raised his eyebrows and looked around. When he confirmed that everyone from the three realms had left, he raised his eyebrows with a smile. Oh, Yi Zichen, I didn't think that you would actually abandon the entire modern realm for this woman. Oh, Yi Zichen, I didn't think that you would actually abandon the entire modern realm for this woman. There's no need to hide it from me. I've already done what you asked. Return Yumei to me. Yi Zichen pursed his lips and raised his hand. He had already thought of a way to atone for his sins. When I get Yumei back, I'll get Tai Bai jinxing to open up a path and bring the people around him and the modern realm to the three realms. If he stayed here alone, he would kill as many as he could until he died in battle. But, haha, Su Yun suddenly laughed. Then the 6 demons behind him quickly subdued Yi Zichen and the people around him. Su Yun? A bad premonition rose from the bottom of Yi Zichen's heart. We have an agreement. You have to keep your word. Hey, don't you find it ridiculous to talk about integrity with someone like me? Su Yun laughed mockingly. Actually, that was just a trick to trick you. Who would have thought that you'd actually take the bait? Yi Zichen, you weren't this stupid when we met, were you? You, me? What's wrong with me? When there were people from the three realms, they were the bargaining chips to negotiate with me. Yet, you made the people of the three realms leave for a woman. Do you think that you still have the right to negotiate with us after losing the three realm support? Su Yun, you're going to Asterisk King die a horrible death. Yi Zichen struggled with all his might, but the weakest of the 12 demon sovereigns were of the sky, immortal level. No matter how much he struggled, it was impossible for him to do anything. I don't know how I'm going to die. I just know that your woman is going to die. When he heard that, Yi Zichen's pupils constricted. He struggled even harder, while his head shook violently. I'll tell you, Yi Zi, I want you to drown in despair and hatred. Do you think that she's enough? Su Yun grabbed Yumei's head with his right hand and lifted her into the air. At the same time, a ball of fire also appeared on his right hand. Ugh! Burn! Clatter! A ring fell from the sky in front of Yi Zichen. At the same time, the 2 demon sovereigns released him from their restraints. Yi Zichen picked up the ring with trembling hands, then knelt on the ground and looked at it lifelessly. Yumei! Yi Zichen grabbed the ring with trembling hands. At that moment, Su Yun also walked over. It hurts a lot, right? The feeling of losing the woman you love is terrible, right? There's no such thing as justice in this world. You can't represent justice. Just from your choice just now. You're a selfish person, aren't you? Yumei. Yi Zichen looked at Xiao Yumei, who had already disappeared. He twitched his mouth and grabbed the ring in his hand. What a pitiful guy. Guli also snickered. Guli also sneered. Su Yun nodded. What do you think humans like the most? Comedy? Guli raised his eyebrows. No, it's a revenge drama. Su Yun snorted. Su Yun snorted. A protagonist who has lost his faith, burning with rage and swearing vengeance. Anyone who sees it would be moved. Right now, isn't our young master Yi like the main character? Bang! Yi Zichen kicked Yi Zichen, causing him to fall onto the ground without any reaction. Su Yun also chuckled on the side. Look how pitiful. Even I feel sad when I see it. What's even more pitiful is that he doesn't even have the chance to take revenge. Guli smiled indifferently, then raised Chiyu's sword. Let's end it here. Ha! Yi Zichen raised his hand and gripped the sword. Yi Zichen, who remained lifeless, put the ring back into his pocket solemnly, then stood up from the ground and gripped the sword tightly. Ah! Yi Zichen screamed, while the surrounding purple demonic energy continuously surged into his body. The aura within his body continuously rose. Complete stage, Earth immortal, human immortal, early stage, human immortal, mid-stage, human immortal, late stage, human immortal. The speed at which it rose left everyone dumbfounded. The rising aura only stopped when he reached the complete stage, human immortal level. He raised his hand and grabbed Gu Li and Su Yun's necks. It's time. At that moment, Wei Chun suddenly frowned. Buzz, a ripple swept across the sky, causing everyone to lose consciousness. Old Man Lin slowly appeared in front of everyone with Lin Ru and looked at everything that happened. All right, let's end it here. From now on, the modern realm will be in a frozen state. I'll leave the Yellow Emperor's reincarnation to you. Yi Zichen suddenly thought of that. These words suddenly rang out in Yi Zichen's mind. When he turned around to look at Old Man Lin, the latter already squinted his eyes and snorted. Chapter 454. An ascender outside a simple village. A young man in tattered clothes had a lifeless look in his eyes. His eyes were lifeless as he was led over by two guard-like men. Shueqi, this is for your village, the guard called out. The guard shouted a few words, and not long after, a young man who looked less than 30 years old walked out of the village. He was clothed in sackcloth, with 2 patches at the cuffs. It was obvious that this young man lived a poor life. It could even be said that he was in dire straits. Something's wrong. Why would an ascender be sent to our village? Shueqi scratched his head in confusion. When he saw the young man next to the guard, his face instantly darkened. I knew it. Why would good stuff be sent to our village? Shueqi couldn't help but curse inwardly. His slightly hopeful heart gradually calmed down. Hurry up, this is the last one. Hurry up and give it a stamp. We're in a hurry to go drink. The guard furrowed his brows in displeasure. Shueqi nodded, quickly walked over, and spoke in a somewhat speechless manner. I say, sirs, although our village has fallen a bit, there's no need to send all sorts of repulsive people here. Look at this brat, what's he like now? He can't even do the most basic farm work. Food is so tight right now. Slap. The guard slapped Shueqi's head and scolded. You talk too much. It's already good enough that we're giving you a share. Hurry up, we're in a hurry. Fine. Then can I ask about this brat's background? Shueqi shrugged helplessly. One of the 2 guards said, I saw him on the Ascension spiritual formation. He should be an ascender. You really know how to joke, Shueqi shrugged helplessly. Shueqi pursed his lips. After all, he was the village chief, so he should have some knowledge, all right? 2 years ago, an expert with the strength of a false earth immortal ascended from the village next to theirs. That heroic appearance, if it wasn't for the fact that the village chief gave his woman away as a concubine, his village wouldn't have been suppressed so badly. False earth immortal, that's the strength that an ascender should have. Look at this guy, he's just an idiot. Who's joking with you? Do you think I'm that bored? Let me tell you, he was assigned here because of our many years of friendship. Maybe you've picked up a treasure. The guard smiled faintly. When he said this, even he himself did not believe it. When they first saw this ascender, the 2 of them walked up to him respectfully, but in the end they saw an idiot, who knew how this kid ascended to the immortal realm. Thank you. Shueqi couldn't help but twitch his mouth. Friendship. It's probably because the other villages didn't want him, so they sent him here. He took out a square stamp from his bosom and placed it on the golden ranking board in the guard's hand. All right. Shueqi put away the golden board and left. He squatted on the ground and stared at the young man in front of him. Brat, give me some hope. Tell me you're just pretending to be crazy. There was no response. IF asterisk king no. Shueqi rolled his eyes speechlessly. Not long later, a girl wearing a floral dress walked out of the village with a white wildflower in her hand. Brother, what are you doing here? There's an ascender sent to our village. Shueqi rolled his eyes. Shueqi rolled his eyes. Hearing this, the woman hurriedly ran over and giggled. Wow, there's actually an ascender coming to our village. I have to take a look. When she got closer and saw the young man, the girl blinked and circled around him twice. How strange. It's strange if it's not strange. Don't think about it. It's impossible for good stuff to be sent to our village. Seriously, we have another mouth to feed. Zhang Qi sighed and shook his head. He grabbed the young man's shoulder and said to the girl, Let's go. Bring him to our house. I'm worried about leaving him alone. I'll put him in the house beside yours. Take care of him when you have nothing to do. Okay, the girl nodded with a smile. The fact that an ascender had settled in the village made everyone in the village smile. They all wanted to see the glory of the ascender, but Zhang Qi only smiled bitterly and shook his head. He had purposely spread the news. The guards had indeed been here, so there was no doubt that an ascender had settled in. He had spread the news in order to instill fear in the neighboring villages. However, he couldn't let outsiders know who the ascender was. Otherwise, the other villages might suppress their village even more. Let me tell you, Yeezy, I want you to be immersed in despair and hatred. Do you think she's enough? How pitiful. How does it feel to watch the woman you love die? Yeezy, I can only say that you're lucky. I'll wait for you to take revenge. See you in the three realms. I really look forward to it. I wonder how much you'll grow with hatred in your heart. Live on with hatred? Haha. The scenes played in his mind like a movie, and not long after, Old Man Lin's words before he left rang out in his mind again. It's been hard on you, but you're the only hope of the modern realm. I'll leave the demons to you. Phew. Color gradually returned to his lifeless eyes as he sat on the bed and clenched his fists. Su Iyun, wait for me. Yi Zichen, you're awake? A comforting voice sounded out in Yi Zichen's mind. Not long later, Xin Yuanxiang walked out of the simple room with a faint smile. I thought you would collapse because of that. Almost. Yi Zichen scratched his head. Yi Zichen scratched his head a few times, then said with a hint of self-mockery. I really want to sink down just like that, but I feel like living on with a grudge isn't bad either. People have to have a goal. You want to take revenge. What else? Yi Zichen's gaze instantly darkened. He snorted as he looked out the window with a sneer. He snorted as he looked out the window. I can't just let Yumei's matter go. Su Iyun, I won't give him any chance the next time I see him. Since he likes to watch revenge dramas so much, then I'll let him watch them. Xin Yuanxiang frowned at Yi Zichen's reply. She could feel the intense hatred in his voice. She was very afraid that Yi Zichen would lose himself in his desire for revenge. But in the end, she was just an artifact spirit. Her master sword was her path. Yeah, what is this place? Yi Zichen retracted his gloomy expression and looked around the room curiously. From the layout of the room, it didn't seem like the modern realm. The modern realm couldn't be so backward. What's more, it seemed like a small village from outside the window. Xin Yuanxiang followed his gaze and looked over, then shook her head with her brows raised. Chapter 455. Spiritual Breeze Village. Is this the three realms? When Yi Zichen climbed down from the bed, he noticed that he had already changed into a set of sackcloth clothes. To be honest, Yi Zichen really wasn't used to wearing clothes from the modern realm after getting used to it. Yi Zichen walked over to the window and looked outside. The quaint village gave off the feeling of a paradise. The willow trees were lush and the grass was green. Nice job with the greenery. Creak. At that moment, the door to the room was pushed open. What entered Yi Zichen's eyes was a girl in a floral dress, who held a basin of water with a towel on top of it. Oh, you're awake? The girl put the basin of water to the side with a giggle, then quickly walked over. She was only as tall as Yi Zichen's shoulder, and when she got closer, Yi Zichen was able to smell the fragrance on her body. Her gem-like eyes were filled with ignorance, and were as pure as a piece of white paper. You? Yi Zichen subconsciously took a step back, while his tone contained a hint of hesitation. I'm Xuelan, the village chief's little sister, the girl replied with a giggle. From the looks of it, she should be around 20 years old, since she always smiled when she spoke. Village? Yeah, this is the Spiritual Breeze Village. There are plenty of other villages nearby. Our village used to be one of the biggest villages around here, but now... It's not small anymore, Xuelan smiled. Xuelan smiled. Her extremely friendly smile caused Yi Zichen's resistance to weaken by quite a bit. Yi Zichen nodded with a smile, then asked once more, which realm of the three realms does this place belong to? I'm not too sure either. Xuelan gave an ambiguous answer. Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows in confusion, so she explained once more, this is where the three realms intersect, so it doesn't belong to any of them. But if we go by distance, then it should be the closest to the immortal region. I didn't expect him to actually ascend to a place that doesn't belong to any realm. Yi Zichen nodded. Could it be that due to my constitution, I can't accept any of the realms I'm in? Or perhaps it was actually Old Man Lin's doing, and he intentionally made me ascend here. However, just what kind of identity did Old Man Lin have? How could he control the modern world? Since he was so powerful that he could control the 12 demon sovereigns, why didn't he just kill them all? Why did he let him deal with the demons? This was strange. Our village has never had an ascendant appear before. The neighboring victorious village always oppresses our village because of a false earth immortal. How infuriating! Shuelon pouted angrily, while Yi Zichen was completely confused. False earth immortal? My lord. In his imagination, in the three realms, human immortals should be small fries. How could a false earth immortal be addressed as a lord here? What is considered strong here? One has to be at least at the spiritual body level to be considered a powerhouse. Shuelon blinked and replied, if he has the power of a perfected false spirit body, he shouldn't be too weak. Is this really the three realms? Yi Zichen was truly shocked. Complete stage false spiritual body wasn't too weak. All the human immortals he met in the modern realm were trash. All of a sudden, he thought of something. This place did not belong to any of the three realms. Perhaps it was just that the situation here was special. Shuelon nodded faintly. Seeing his expression, she smiled and said, don't mind it too much. You've already come to our village. It doesn't matter if you're weak. My brother will protect us. He's an expert with a spiritual body. Thank you. Shuelon replied with a smile before asking, what kind of world did you live in before? I'm very curious about where you ascenders lived. How did you ascend here? My place is a very beautiful city. It's very technologically advanced, but the environment is very poor. As for how I ascended, our place was attacked by the outside world. We had no choice but to be forcibly brought up. Yi Zichen smiled. Hearing that, Shuelon's expression immediately changed. Wow, you're so pitiful. I'm all right. He smiled faintly. At this moment, a shout came from outside the door. Xiaolan, Xiaolan. Bang. The door to the room was pushed open, and a dark-skinned man wearing an animal skin coat walked in from outside. When he saw Yi Zichen, who was beside Shuelon, who is this kid? He is. Just as Shuelon was about to answer, she recalled that her older brother told her not to say Yi Zichen's identity, so she smiled. He came from another village. That village was affected by the flood, and he was the only one who survived. Big Brother pitied him, so he accepted it. I see. The man narrowed his eyes and glanced at him, then raised his eyebrows and asked, what's your name? Yi Zichen. You look so skinny. Can you work? The man walked over and patted Yi Zichen's shoulder. The huge force caused Yi Zichen's shoulder to fall down. The man also laughed loudly. Don't worry. Young man, you still need to practice. Brother Stone is so bad. You only know how to bully newcomers. Shuelon pouted and waved her fist at the man, then introduced him to Yi Zichen. He's the vice village head of our village, and is a good friend of my older brother. He's a very good person. Don't be fooled by his simple and honest appearance. He's even more scheming than my brother. Hey, you little girl, I don't have as many tricks as your brother. Shurtu rolled his eyes and said to Shuelon, your sister-in-law said she wanted to learn embroidery from you. I told that old woman not to learn, but she insisted. You go and teach her. If she can learn it, then learn it. If she can't, then let her go hunting with me. All right, I'll head over now. When Shuelon skipped away from the room, Stone set his gaze back onto Yi Zichen and raised his eyebrows. Looking at you, you should have the strength of the 7th or 8th level of body refinement. There is only one principle in our village, and that is to work and eat. You can still make a living with your current strength. Work hard and find a wife in our village and give birth to a child. But don't say I didn't warn you. Don't even think about Xiaolon. She's been betrothed since she was young. I understand. Yi Zichen nodded. At this moment, there was a sudden sound of hurried footsteps outside the door. Not long after, a bare-armed man ran over. There was still some blood on his face. What's wrong? Mother asterisk Kerr, our village's brothers found an unmined mine. Those bastards from Victoria's village also saw it and insisted that it was theirs. Now that they're fighting, Village Chief Stone should hurry over. I'm afraid that Village Chief Shui Chi won't be able to hold on. The man cursed angrily with red eyes. Stone narrowed his eyes and cursed back. Come, take me there. Those bastards of 100 victories really think that they're invincible just because they have a false earth immortal backing them up. Just as he was about to leave, he suddenly turned around and looked at Yi Zichen. Chapter 456. The mine dispute. Two groups of people stood opposite each other in front of a mine in the deep mountain range covered in weeds. Zhou Jinhe, don't go overboard. The man in sackcloth held a large knife and angrily scolded the man in silk clothes in front of him, who had an evil smile on his face. Xueqi, you're the village chief. Aren't you wearing two tattered clothes? The man in silk clothes snorted, then stretched lazily. Our Zhou family is taking this mine. Our Zhou family is taking this mine. You spiritual breeze villagers, go back and do whatever you need to do. Don't go overboard. Xueqi glared at him angrily. Xueqi glared at him and said angrily, this mine was discovered by our village's brothers, and now you're saying that your Zhou family wants it? What? You don't accept it? As he spoke, Zhou Jinhe took out a spiritual talisman from his bosom. The spiritual talisman was accompanied by a heart-palpitating spiritual power fluctuation. My brother-in-law told me to crush this sigil if anyone bullies me. Oh wow, he's an earth immortal expert. Do you think I should invite him or not? Creak. Everyone in the spiritual breeze village clenched their fists. This false earth immortal. If it wasn't for the existence of this false earth immortal, their village wouldn't have been suppressed to such a state by Baishan. The old village chief was angered to death. Although the young village chief had shocking talent, he was too young, and the village didn't want to give him too much pressure. Village chief, how about, we'll let him go? Someone in the village said. Xueqi was merely of the spiritual body level. He was no match for a false earth immortal level expert. He's so funny. Isn't he just a false earth immortal? He's actually calling himself an earth immortal. Don't you have any shame? A playful snicker sounded out from behind the villagers. When they turned around, they saw Stone walk over with Yi Zichen and the man who came to report. Stone, why you came as well? Xueqi immediately used his spiritual consciousness to check Yi Zichen's strength when he saw him. Early stage false spiritual body? Xueqi's heart sank, but he quickly smiled. It's pretty good to have the strength of a false spiritual body. At least he's much stronger than an idiot. Who? Who spoke just now? Zhou Jinhe frowned. I said it, so what? Yi Zichen took a step forward, then looked down at him. You're dressed like a dog, but why are your ears so bad? I was the one who spoke just now. What's wrong? Are you a second-degree national disability and deaf? How dare you talk to me like that? Zhou Jinhe laughed. Ever since his sister followed that false earth immortal expert, no one had ever dared to talk to him like that. What's there to be afraid of? We all have heads on our shoulders. What? You have two more than the others. Or do you think that the spirit talisman in your hand can scare people? Stop pretending. Isn't it because your sister was someone else's concubine? To put it nicely, she's a concubine, but to put it bluntly, she's a mistress. You're quite pleased that your sister is a mistress. Yi Zichen rolled his eyes at Zhou Jinhe. Everyone from the spiritual breeze village was stunned, but they quickly cheered. Stone shouted the loudest. He hooked his arm around Yi Zichen's shoulder and laughed. Good boy, I like it. Yes, scold this little brat for me. He thinks that he's one of the 3 lords and 5 emperors just because he's a false earth immortal. Scold him. Big Brother Stone will take care of it for you if anything happens. Spiritual breeze village, you're forcing me. Zhou Jinhe glared at them, but did not crush the talisman. It was a talisman that the false earth immortal gave him after his sister became a mistress. It was indeed a talisman, but he only gave him one. All these years, the Zhou family had been relying on this talisman to show off. If I crush it, then all of you will die. Little brat, are you trying to scare your grandpa, Stone? Grandpa will still be a man 18 years later, even if my head falls off. Crush it if you dare. If you want to eat your grandpa, Stone, then I'll knock out at least one of his teeth. Stone snorted with a fierce light in his eyes. The other men from the spiritual breeze village all agreed with him. They had enough of being cowards. They didn't want to be grandsons anymore. If they died, then so be it. At least they wouldn't be sullen. Zhou Jinhe, crush it. Don't think that only your victorious village has ascenders. Our spiritual breeze village has them too. Xueqi also stepped forward at this moment. His body emitted an unstoppable sharpness. Zhou Zhina hesitated slightly when he heard that. He could understand why Stone would be so arrogant. Xueqi was the spiritual leader of the spiritual breeze village. Yet even he acted like this. Could it be that the news of spiritual breeze village having ascenders was true? Their victorious village's ascenders had long since left the village, so they could only rely on this talisman. If they used this talisman, it would be fine if his brother-in-law could kill everyone in the spiritual breeze village. However, if spiritual breeze village had an expert with similar strength, then the two of them would just nod and forget their grudge. Then Victoria's village would be ruined. All right, Xueqi, Stone, I'll leave this lousy mine to you. We'll have plenty of time in the future. Zhou Zhenhe led the Zhou family away with a gloomy expression. Seeing the Zhou family leave, the men from the spiritual breeze village all cheered. This was the first time in 5 years that Victoria's village had lowered its head in front of spiritual breeze village. Xueqi, good job. Stone punched Xueqi's shoulder and laughed. I didn't think you'd dare to fight Zhou Zhenhe head-on. But do these ascenders you speak of really exist? I always thought you were lying to outsiders. Of course. As he spoke, Xueqi glanced at Yi Zichen from time to time. There really is. Rock was stunned, and then he said, exactly where is that expert? And how strong is he? Mother asterisk her. If he's strong enough, we'll just destroy him. I've been sick of him for a long time. How can it be so easy to invite an expert? Xueqi smiled faintly, and Stone nodded in realization. You're right, but I still want to see that expert. If there's a chance, we'll naturally meet. Xueqi patted him on the shoulder, then smiled at the villagers behind him. Brothers, let's cover up this mine. When we get back to the village tonight, we'll drink until we're drunk. When we're sober, we'll come to the mine to work. The surrounding villagers all chuckled and started to work. Xueqi nodded with a smile, then slowly walked beside Yi Zichen. It was all thanks to you just now. You're pretty smart. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to notice Zhou Zhenhe's mistake if you didn't keep provoking him. It was nothing, Yi Zichen replied plainly, but couldn't help but retort in his heart. Actually, he didn't think that much. He didn't even care about false earth immortals. If they really came, then he would just beat them away. What's your name? Xueqi raised his eyebrows. Yi Zichen. I'm the village head of our spiritual breeze village, Xueqi. Xueqi smiled, then raised his eyebrows. I have to apologize to you. What is it? Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows in confusion. Chapter 457. Xiao Yi Zichen nodded after a brief hesitation when he felt the apologetic and expectant tone in Xueqi's words. Since Xueqi told him not to reveal his identity, then he wouldn't. It wouldn't affect him too much anyway. Xueqi patted Yi Zichen's shoulders gratefully, then went back to work with the men in the village. Late into the night. Are you sure that Xueqi and company truly have an ascender? A white-haired elder with a hooked nose frowned as he looked at Zhou Zhenhe, who was in front of him, within a luxurious room. I'm not sure. Zhou Zhenhe shook his head. But there are rumors that the Golden List was indeed sent to Spiritual Breeze Village. That's why I'm a bit suspicious when I heard his confident tone. The room turned silent. After a long while, the white-haired, hook-nosed elder slammed the table and stood up. Don't mess with the Spiritual Breeze Village for now. Don't provoke the Spiritual Breeze Village for now. Find some time to invite the Golden Ranking Guards to our Zhou family for a meal. The bonfire was lit up. All the men and women in the village sat together, chatting, dancing, and drinking. The Spiritual Breeze Village was truly proud this time. They were actually able to make those guys from Victoria's village suffer, so there was no need to mention how happy they were. From start to finish, Yi Zichen maintained his calm smile as he watched the villagers play around. At that moment, Stone walked over and put his arm around Yi Zichen's shoulder. Bro, Lousy has to toast you. Yi Zichen raised the bowl in his hand and clinked it with Stone, then downed it all. The wine here did not taste particularly good, but it was extremely strong. Yi Zichen felt like he was on fire as the wine flowed down his throat, causing his body to feel warm as if it was on fire. Ha ha, great. You're more and more to my liking. Just follow Lousy from now on. Stone also downed the wine and laughed heartily. Then he shook his head with a smile when he saw Shui-Chi, who was having a lot of fun with the men in the village. He's finally released his suppressed heart this time. In the eyes of everyone, Shui-Chi was someone who was extremely good at hiding his emotions. He would always be able to maintain his calm, but this time, he was truly unable to hold it in. The grandsons of Victorious Village were terrified. The grandsons who had suppressed them for so many years were terrified. Who told you all to drink like this? Are you all tired of living? Suddenly, a stern shout rang out from the village. Everyone turned around and saw a valiant woman standing outside the bonfire. When Shui-Chi saw her, he walked over with a drunken smile. Xiaoyu, you're back. You reek of alcohol. Stay away from me. The woman frowned and pushed Shui-Chi away with a snort. You're the village chief, yet you don't learn from good things. Xiaoyu, don't be so serious. It's just a drink with the brothers in the village. Stone also walked over at this time. The woman was not moved at all. She raised her eyebrows. You too. As the vice village chief, why are you messing around with Shui-Chi instead of assisting him? When I came back just now, I didn't see anyone on guard. What would you do if someone from the other villages came with you? Both Shui-Chi and Stone did not dare to say anything, while Yi Zichen was completely shocked. This woman is so powerful. Sister Xiaoyu. Xuelan skipped over at this moment. Looking at her two brothers who were bowing their heads in apology, she pursed her lips and said with a smile, Big sister, don't be angry at them. I'm not angry, I'm worried. The spiritual breeze village itself is... Forget it, let's not talk about it. Hurry up and remove the bonfire. Send a few people out to stand guard. All right, I'll arrange it right away. Yi Zichen blinked a few times, then returned to his room. On the way back, the woman named Xiaoyu subconsciously glanced in his direction. Who is he? I've never seen him in the village before. He is... Xuelan whispered into her ear and explained. Xiaoyu nodded and narrowed her eyes. An ascender. Huh? He's actually so weak. Sister, he is very pitiful. Xuelan repeated the story that Yi Zichen told her. Lil, you shook her head and snickered. However, Lil Lan shook her head and snickered. Don't believe that kind of pitiful words. Lil Lan, you're inexperienced. Be careful of that guy in the future. Yi Zichen naturally did not know what was going on outside. At that moment, he was lying on the wooden bed and holding his phone on the bedside table. Buzz, a familiar ringtone sounded out. Yi Zichen let out a sigh of relief, but when he saw the time on his phone, so much time has passed? He clearly remembered that it was the 9th when the Modern Realms apocalypse descended, but it was already the 16th now. An entire week had already passed. I wonder how they are. Yi Zichen sighed, then clenched his fist. His life after descending to the 3 realms was rather stable, but he was worried about his family and friends. Will they be frozen in the Modern Realm, or will they appear in the 3 realms? It's fine if they're frozen, but if they appear in the 3 realms, are you thinking about them? Xin Yuanxiang sat down with a smile. Yi Zichen nodded, then looked at the bright moon outside. I'm very worried about them. Actually, I wanted to tell you when you woke up. Some of the people around you ascended to the 3 realms with you, but you guys landed in different places. However, your landing points are different. I had probed their positions at that time, but I could only vaguely sense their existence. Xin Yuanxiang replied plainly. Hearing that, Yi Zichen's shoulders trembled as I thought they ascended as well. Would it be possible for me to go and find them now? Yi Zichen squinted his eyes. Xin Yuanxiang shook her head with a smile. How could it be? You're very safe here. What you need to do is to steadily increase your strength here. If you want to travel in the 3 realms, you won't even know how you died without a complete stage human immortal. As for your friends, you don't have to worry. According to my detection, they should have been taken away by the big organizations. Their situations are much better than yours. All right. Yi Zichen sighed helplessly. Then subconsciously glanced at the location of the network on his phone, Waves. Based on his experience in the underworld, he should be able to connect to the internet if there were waves. Yi Zichen clicked open the chat group. The members of the group did not seem to know what was going on in the Modern Realm and continued to chat in the group. However, Their topics revolved around Yang Jian and Neza, god of thunder. It shouldn't be too much of a problem. No matter what, the two of them are great deities. Mother of lightning, agreed. God of fortune, but the problem isn't great deities. It's not like my colleagues didn't notice just how angry the Jade Emperor is. Yu Lao. He might lose his military power, but there shouldn't be any other problems. Chapter 458. The system takes action. Yi Zichen, who was watching the chat, felt his heart skip a beat. The great sage is actually going to wreak havoc in the heavenly court. Combined with the messages in the group, military power, the Jade Emperor, could Yang Jian and Neza have been captured by the Jade Emperor? Can someone tell me the specifics? The moment Yi Zichen spoke up, the other members in the group immediately started to talk. God of thunder, sky sovereign, where have you been for so long? Immortality peach fairy. Go. Why haven't you spoken up? Yu Lao. Did you take care of the situation in the modern realm? Old Lord Taishang. The group instantly flooded with messages, but no one brought up the topic again. Yi Zichen squinted his eyes and raised his eyebrows. What happened to the heavenly court? What happened to Yang Jian and Neza? God of thunder, mother of lightning, sky sovereign, just leave it. Yu Lao. This isn't something we can get involved in. Old Lord Taishang, agreed. God of fortune, hurry up and say, did the Jade Emperor capture Yang Jian and Neza? Yi Zichen knitted his eyebrows tightly. Not long later, the monkey replied in the group. Monkey King. Yes, the geezer Jade Emperor was captured by them. I, old son, am going to raise my army and wreak havoc. Are you coming or not? God of thunder. Monkey King, great sage, you can't do that. Yu Lao. Yeah, let's talk this out. The execution hasn't been decided yet. Immortality peach fairy. I like to watch people fight, but I don't like watching people fight. As I thought, the Jade Emperor did capture them. The reason for that was obvious. It was because they sent out their army to slay demons. It's a good thing that the Jade Emperor sent out his army to slay demons, but he actually wanted to capture them to punish them. Since it started because of me, I definitely can't just watch as the Jade Emperor takes away their military power. Monkey King, don't be in such a hurry. Wait for my news. With that, Yi Zichen exited the chat group and shouted towards the surroundings of the room. You can hear me, right? System, you can hear me, right? System notification. What is it, little friend? Are you not used to the three realms yet? Do you need me to tell you a story before you can sleep? The system notification popped up almost instantly. Even Xinyuan Xiang, who was on the side, was shocked. Don't argue with me. I haven't settled the score with you in the modern world. If the system had told him about the situation in the modern world earlier, perhaps the situation wouldn't have developed so badly. Xiao Yumei wouldn't, Yang Jian and Neza wouldn't be captured by the Jade Emperor. All of this was a chain reaction. As for the source, it was the system. System notification. The modern world is destined to face such a calamity. It's not something that I can change, even if I say it or not. Besides, I can't possibly go against the heavens, right? This is fate. Hee. Then you must feel quite wronged. System notification. You can understand it that way. If it weren't for the fact that he was weak, he wouldn't have been able to catch the shadow of the system notification. Otherwise, Yi Zichen really wanted to punch him. Yi Zichen let out a long sigh and raised his eyebrows. Forget it. I don't want to talk too much with you. Yang Jian and Neza have been captured by the Jade Emperor. It seems like he wants to take away his military power. You should have a way to stop it, right? System notification. Smart. But why should I help you? I'm not going to bicker with you about the modern realm. System notification. So what if you bicker with me? That isn't something you can use to get me to help you. Creak. This guy. Yi Zichen clenched his teeth and snorted as he looked at the system notification. Then what do you want me to do? System notification. About that, I didn't think of it yet. How about this? Just treat it as you owe me a promise. If I need it, then you can just return it to me. All right. Yi Zichen nodded without any hesitation, then disappeared after saying, wait for my news. Yi Zichen put his phone to the side, then laid down on the bed. Xinyuan Xiang blinked and looked at his phone, then asked, were you chatting with his phone just now? Yi Zichen nodded, then spoke up once again. This isn't a normal phone. It should be controlled by someone. Then he can convince the Jade Emperor? Probably. Yi Zichen was a bit unsure, but since he answered so confidently, then he should have some sort of method. In the cloudy palace of the Golden Arches, the Jade Emperor, who was wearing a dragon robe, sat on a chair. He looked down at Yang Jian and Neza with a dark expression. At that moment, only the three of them were in the palace. They had already stayed there for a week, and none of them had taken a single step out of the palace. Yang Jian, Neza, this sovereign has heard most of what you said, but it still cannot be a reason for you to bring troops down to the lower realms. Slaying demons and protecting the Tao is my duty. Why can't I? Yang Jian argued. However, the Jade Emperor shook his head with a smile. There's no need to say anything else. There's no need to say anything more. Hand over the commander's seal. Jade Emperor. Just as the Jade Emperor was about to take the commander's seal, a chuckle suddenly sounded out in his mind. I feel like we can let them go. Who are you? The Jade Emperor frowned and replied in his sea of consciousness. At the same time, he released his spiritual consciousness in an attempt to find the person who had spoken in his mind. Stop looking. You won't be able to find me. I'm someone above you. The Jade Emperor's body trembled. After a long while, he finally suppressed his shock and replied, Your Excellency, a friend asked me to plead for you. The Jade Emperor and Neza are both loyal people. I feel that it's not a bad idea to leave the military power in their hands. If you strip them of their military power, you might regret it one day in the future. The Jade Emperor's expression changed when he heard the reply in his sea of consciousness. The other party's words shouldn't be without reason. If he delved deeper into it, was the other party saying that the heaven would face a mutiny? Yang Jian and Neza would actually stand on his side, but he stripped them of their military power. At that moment, he didn't dare to continue thinking. Your Excellency, can you explain clearly? The secrets of heaven cannot be revealed. The man's reply sounded in his sea of consciousness again. That's all I have to say. It's up to you. Then I wonder if Your Excellency can tell that friend of yours. Idealism. After leaving such a sentence, there was no reply in his sea of consciousness. The Jade Emperor frowned and kept thinking about the last sentence of the expert in his sea of consciousness. Idealism. What a profound answer. Idealism. Did the other party want him to follow his thoughts? Or did he answer that the person's name was actually idealism? The Jade Emperor shook his head in confusion. When he came back to his senses, he saw that Yang Jian and Neza had already handed over the commander's seal. Forget it. The commander's seal is still in your hands. Remember, don't do it again. Whoosh. Chapter 459. Make things difficult, ding-dong. Just as Yi Zichen was about to fall asleep, his phone rang. He flipped over and grabbed the phone, glancing at the message. System notification. Done. Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows, then clicked into the group and saw that both Yang Jian and Neza had appeared. Erling Shun. I'm out. Neza. I'm out. It seemed like they were in a good mood after coming out of the soaring Heaven King Palace. Monkey King. You two are out. How was it? The Jade Emperor didn't make things difficult for you, did he? Yu Lao. It's good that he's out. It's good that he's out. God of Thunder. What was the result? Pagoda-bearing Heavenly Kingly. Brat, what are you doing in the group? Hurry up and come home. I'll beat you up. Third Prince Neza. You can't beat me. Pagoda-bearing Heavenly Kingly. Blackface. Erlang Shun. Thank you for everyone's concern. Our trip to the cloudy palace of the Golden Arches is just a formality. The military power was still in his hands, his salary was still the same, and his body and mind were still free. Thunder God. Really? Erlang Shun. Why would I lie to you? You can ask Neza if you don't believe me. Third Prince Neza. Brother Yang Jian is telling the truth. Everyone in the group was dumbfounded. They saw the Jade Emperor's dark face. He almost wanted to skin Yang Jian and Neza alive. Now, the two of them actually went to the group and said that nothing had happened and that they had not received any punishment at all. All of a sudden, everyone recalled what Heavenly Lord Nameless had said. God of Thunder. The Sky Sovereign is indeed an expert. Mother of Lightning. Agreed. God of Fortune. Agreed. Moon Lord. Agreed. Immortality Peach Fairy. Agreed. A row of immortals replied in such a formation. Yang Jian was stunned and could not help but raise his eyebrows. Erlang Shun, what happened to my bro? Monkey King, looks like old Sun was wrong again. Amazing, amazing. Yang Jian, it's all thanks to your brother that you were able to come out this time. The deities in the group continuously spammed the chat. When Yi Zichen saw Yang Jian and company come out, he finally relaxed. Thanks. System notification. You're too polite. Remember that you owe me a promise. After nodding his head slightly, the system notification did not say anything else. Yi Zichen's eyes were filled with confusion as he looked at the gradually disappearing system notification. Since he could persuade the Jade Emperor, it was obvious that he was at the same level as the Jade Emperor, or even someone a higher level. But he also said that he couldn't order the 6 realms patrolling inspector around. Then, could he be someone from the upper realm? Yi Zichen shook his head and put his phone to the side, then laid on the bed to rest. The next day, just as the sky brightened, Yi Zichen, who would definitely still be snoring away in the modern realm, was forcefully dragged out of bed. He yawned listlessly. He had drunk quite a lot of strong alcohol yesterday, and he had stayed up very late to deal with the heavenly court's matters. He had slept for less than 4 hours. Compared to the 10 hours he used to sleep, the difference was too big. It would be strange if he wasn't sleepy. Kid, looks like you're also a lazy bum. Sure too carried a large axe on his shoulder and teased. I like to sleep in too. I wasn't used to it when I first started working, but look at me now. I've already run around and hunted a few wild animals before going to your place to call you. All right. Yi Zichen yawned again. Yi Zichen yawned again, then blinked. Where are you taking me so early in the morning? Of course it's to work. Stone raised his eyebrows. How are you going to get a wife if you don't work hard? All right. Yi Zichen nodded listlessly, then spoke up once again. Kid, you know too little since you just came to our village. You have to work to earn money to eat and get a wife. Also, the house you're living in belongs to old Shui. You won't be able to live there when he gets a wife. You should work more as soon as possible and buy a piece of land in the village to get a house. Understood, Yi Zichen smiled. Yi Zichen smiled. For some reason, he felt like this place was like a primitive tribe. But it's pretty nice. Whoever works harder gets to eat better. It's very fair. Oh yeah, Stone Bro, where are you taking me to work? Hey, Stone Bro definitely has to take care of you. Big Bro will take you to the mine this time, Stone smiled. Shueqi said that the first 10 kilograms of the mine will be given to the village. The remaining 30% will be yours. 60% will be used for the village's development, and 1% will be given to the person who discovered it. I'm telling you, this is a good job. There aren't a lot of spots, so Big Bro spent a lot of effort to get you a spot. Then thank you so much, Stone Bro. Yi Zichen smiled sincerely. In his heart, he nodded towards Shueqi's arrangement. It seems like this village chief has some tricks up his sleeves. Approximately an hour later, the two of them arrived at the mine. Yi Zichen, who thought that he had arrived early enough, noticed that there were already plenty of men standing there bare-chested as they swung their hammers. Someone would occasionally shout out how much they dug up. All in all, it was a very lively scene. See, there are plenty of hard-working people in our village. If you don't work hard, then your wife will be taken away. There are plenty of pretty girls in our village. I know. This Stone Bro is really interesting. He can't stop talking about wives. But then again, when Yi Zichen thought about the development of the village, getting a wife was indeed a very important task. Why is he here? At that moment, a woman in a plain dress walked out from the depths of the mine. Yi Zichen subconsciously looked up and saw that it was Xiaoyu from yesterday. I snatched a spot for this brat. Newcomer, take care of him. Stone was obviously very afraid of women. He didn't even dare to say his catchphrase in front of her. In, then let him go. Don't say that I don't take care of the newbies. Do you see the empty space on the right? It should be black iron Oregon. Let him go. He can definitely sell it for a good price after mining it. Lil, you replied with her arms crossed. Stone narrowed his eyes. Xiaoyu, what you're doing is a little too much. The density of black iron ores is extremely high. Even a spiritual body expert would find it extremely difficult to mine it, let alone a spiritual body expert. Sure had detected that his little brother was only at the 7th or 8th level of body refinement. Aren't you making things difficult for me? I see that the brass mine over there is quite good. Little brother, you should go over there. Shoving the hammer into his hand, Tu pushed him over. Xiaoyu smiled faintly and stopped him, shaking her head. No, Shuiqi said that I'm in charge of the assignments here. He must go over there. Liu, Stone glared. However, Yi Zichen shook his head and grabbed his shoulder with a smile. Stone bro, I'll go. With that, Yi Zichen walked towards the black iron ores. Chapter 460. Troublesome black crystal, mine slowly walking to the front of the black iron ore. Xiaoyu crossed her arms from start to finish, a cold smile on her face as she watched from the side. She could already imagine Yi Zichen's dejected look when he couldn't deal with the black iron ores. As he got closer, he noticed that the mineral vein here was completely black, giving off a crystal-clear feeling. TSK, that little girl over there is wrong. This isn't some black iron Oregon. It's clearly a black crystal Oregon. Xin Yuanxiang twitched her mouth and shook her head, but Yi Zichen didn't mind too much. In his eyes, it didn't matter what kind of ore it was. Anyway, he didn't know what this or was used for. The immortal spiritual energy in his arm gradually flowed towards the mining hammer, and he swung it downwards with all his might. Ding! A clear sound of impact sounded out, but to Yi Zichen's surprise, there were no cracks on the mine at all. What's the situation? Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows, then used even more spiritual energy to wave downwards. Ding! Yi Zichen looked at the ores in front of him in shock. He had used all of his spiritual energy just now. He was only a step away from becoming a human immortal, and he had the power of the dragon race's secret manual. It couldn't even shake this mine? Xiaoyu, who was at the side, also smiled in satisfaction. A small person who hadn't even reached the false spiritual body stage actually wanted to touch the black iron ores. He laughed mockingly in his heart. Who asked this guy to lie to Xiaolon? I must laugh at him when he comes over later. Brother, don't waste time with it. With your current strength, there is no way you can mine it. Stone comforted Yi Zichen. Yi Zichen shook his head with a smile, then picked up the hammer. TSK, so stubborn. Xiaoyu sneered from behind. Stone glared at her fiercely and said, I think you're really sick. How did little brother offend you? He just came to our village. He's also a very kind person. Do you know how we got our hands on this mine? It's all thanks to him. It's none of your business. Xiaoyu curled her lips and snorted coldly in her heart. Men who lie are not good. Yi Zichen scratched his head as he stood in front of the mine and looked up at Xin Yuanxiang, who was floating in midair. What black crystal mine did you say it was? That's right. You're really impatient. You didn't even wait for me to finish. Black crystal ore is considered a rather high grade or in the 3 realms. Even perfected human immortals would find it hard to mine it. Hearing that, Yi Zichen was stunned. Then what should I do? Should I just leave this mine here and admit defeat? Just now, he swore that he wanted to slap that woman's face. If he admitted defeat, wouldn't it be a slap to his own face? How is this admitting defeat? If you let that little girl do it, she'll be even more helpless. Xin Yuanxiang spread her hands in midair. There was nothing wrong with what he said, but Yi Zichen just couldn't accept it. He licked his lips, sat cross-legged on the ground, and took out his phone from his pocket. Regardless of whether he could mine it or not, even if he could, it would be too much of a waste of time to use his spiritual power to mine it little by little. Work was all about efficiency. He opened the social media app and found Yu Lao's profile picture. Yu Lao was naturally the highest manager of the industrial base that Yi Zichen sent to the Heavenly Court and started its operations. Not only did the Jade Emperor not become unhappy with the appearance of the industrial factory, he even praised him. This industrial park had solved the problem of many laid-off workers in the Heavenly Court, and the workers in the factory were all busy at work. Of course, according to Yi Zichen, only the food processing factory was booked. Ding dong. His cell phone rang. Yu Lao, who was patrolling the factory, hurriedly walked to a deserted place and replied after seeing the notification. Celestial Master. Yes, our industrial park has been started, right? It's activated. Yu Lao glanced at the busy employees in the factory and smiled. According to your instructions, only the food processing factory has been activated. That's good. Yi Zichen nodded, then raised his eyebrows. Take a look at the production guide I sent you. Find the chemicals section and see if there's a section for explosives. Explosives? Yu Lao raised his eyebrows suspiciously. He then took out the production guide and found the chemical engineering interface. After a while, he replied again. Yes. Nice. Yi Zichen smiled when he saw the reply, then replied, Find a few technicians to make some explosives for me. Find a few technicians to make some explosives for me. I need them urgently. No problem. As soon as he finished speaking, Yu Lao went to look for the technicians. At the same time, Lil Yu also appeared behind him and snorted with a smile. Are the ores going to jump out by themselves if you just sit here? Yi Zichen frowned in displeasure when he felt the ambiguity in her tone. I don't seem to have offended this woman before. Why is she talking to me like that and targeting me? Yi Zichen licked his lips, then stood up from the ground and patted the dust behind him with a shrug. I don't need you to worry about that. It's my problem how I want to do it. But you're delaying our village's mining progress by not working. Lil Yu snorted relentlessly. Don't forget, you guys have a mission target of 10 kilograms here. If you can't reach it, then you won't even be able to eat dinner. I said it already. I don't need you to worry about that. Just hurry up and be a supervisor, all right? Yi Zichen rolled his eyes at Lil Yu, then ignored her. Lil Yu frowned, then snatched the mining hammer from his hands while he wasn't paying attention and smashed it onto the black crystal ore. Ding! She had wanted to use this chance to attack Yi Zichen, but the result? There was no reaction. Serve you right. Yi Zichen laughed coldly in his heart, but he did not show it. He snatched the mining hammer back and snickered. Lord Supervisor, can you stop messing around here? At that moment, Lil Yu's heart was filled with confusion. This shouldn't be happening. She's a complete stage, spiritual body. She's the strongest in the village. Although black iron ores were rather dense, it wouldn't affect the mining at her level. Could it be that I exerted force too hastily? Lil Yu was confused. She still thought that the mine was black iron ores, mainly because she didn't dare to imagine that it was a black crystal mine. If it was a black crystal mine, then the spiritual breeze village might not be able to mine it. Perhaps they would all face annihilation. Yi Zichen shook his head and retreated. At the same time, Yi Zichen's phone rang once again. Chapter 461. Exploding bombs. The people of the Heavenly Court are truly efficient. They've already finished making explosives in such a short amount of time. Send it over. Ding dong. Not long later, a bright red packet appeared on Yu Lao's chat interface. Tap. You received Yu Lao's red packet. Bomx 10. Yi Zichen clicked open the treasure chest and noticed that there was indeed a pitch-black ball that looked like a tank shell in his inventory, with a fuse on top of it. Bomb. Dangerous item. Has extremely strong area damage and extremely strong destructive power. Use with caution. Yi Zichen scratched his head, then took out the bomb from his phone. When the bomb appeared in his line of sight, he noticed that it was a tank shell. I didn't expect the Heavenly Court to actually make something for war. Yi Zichen twitched his mouth, then placed the bomb beside the black crystal mine and took out a lighter from his pocket. Sizzle. As the fuse slowly burned, Yi Zichen hurriedly cast all the buffs he could on it, then retreated backwards. Boom! The huge explosion instantly caused quite a few people near the mine to look over. The moment they turned around, they saw a pillar of fire shoot into the sky, while thick smoke filled the air. What happened? Lil Yu immediately rushed over from afar. The power of the explosion just now was terrifying. In terms of attack power, the explosion just now was about the same as the explosion of a complete stage human immortal. Stone also raised his eyebrows when he saw the location. He quickly put down the mining hammer in his hand and ran over. Why did such a huge commotion happen? Lil Yu hugged her shoulders with a frown. The smoke in front of her was truly too thick, so she was unable to enter at all. Stone also frowned, while he muttered in his heart, "Please don't let anything happen." After a full quarter of an hour, the thick smoke became a little lighter. Lil Yu and Stone used their spiritual energy to blow away the smoke in front of them. When they walked closer, they saw a man who looked like a black ghost, with smoke rising from his hair, continuously picking up the black crystals on the ground. What kind of shitty thing is this? It's so heavy. A mutter sounded out from within the smoke. Muttering words came from the smoke. Stone raised his eyebrows and walked over with a suspicious expression. Brother Lil Yi? Hey, big brother Stone, Yi Zichen smiled. Yi Zichen smiled. Since he didn't calculate the direction of the explosion properly, he was caught up in it as well. Fortunately, his invincible Vajra body had reached the second tier, and coupled with the defensive power of the Dragon Clan, he was able to survive. It really is you. Stone froze for a moment, then glanced at the mineral vein at the side. Brother, you actually managed to mine it? What's so hard about that? Yi Zichen twitched his mouth with a smile, but occasionally glanced towards Lil Yu. Didn't this woman like to make things difficult for him? His blast just now had blown up the mine. Did you really cause the commotion just now? Lil Yu also frowned, then looked at Yi Zichen in confusion. That shouldn't be the case. According to her detection, he should at most have the strength of a false spiritual body. Why did he release such a powerful energy attack just now? Could it be that this brat had been hiding his strength all along? If he really was an ascender, he would definitely have some strength. Although the chances of him causing such a huge commotion were slim, it was not impossible. But why did he hide his strength? Lil, you couldn't find a reason for Yi Zichen to do so. Shouldn't he display his strength after ascending, then enter a few spiritual academies as fast as possible, then take up a post in the three realms? Wait, why are you looking at me like that? Yi Zichen tilted his head. He really didn't like people looking at him with such a judgmental gaze. Yi Zichen rolled his eyes towards the woman. Just as he was about to return to his work, F***CK, it's a black crystal. Stone picked up a black crystal the size of a palm from the ground. However, such a small piece of, or was very difficult for a muscular man like him to carry. What? Black crystal? Lil Yu was also shocked. She quickly reached out towards the palm-sized, or in Stone's hand. Heavy. This density combined with this transparency, it was indeed a black crystal. She had thought that it was merely black iron ore, which was rarer than brass. She didn't expect it to be a black crystal ore. Just how did you manage to mine the black crystal ore? Were you hiding your strength from the start? Lil, you turned around and looked at Yi Zichen. Only experts of the elder level and above from large families could mine black crystal ores. Could this ascender truly have the strength of a human immortal? If he really does, then our spiritual breeze village might have the strength to protect this black crystal mine. But if he doesn't, I didn't hide my strength. I was able to mine it because of this. Yi Zichen pointed at the bomb in his hand. This is something I researched in the place I used to live. Its explosive power is extremely strong, so I used it to blow up this mine. Then how many do you have left? Lil, you frowned. 9. Yu Lao had given him a total of 10. Since he had used one just now, he had 9 left. Use these 9 as fast as you can now. Blow up as many black crystals as you can. After that, all of the spiritual breeze village's people will leave this mine. We don't want this mine anymore. Why not? Stone raised his eyebrows in confusion. I'll explain the details to you later. Ignoring the fact that the value of black crystals is much higher than the brass and whatnot. If it really happens as I predicted, then this mine isn't a matter of whether we want it or not. It's a matter of whether we dare to take it or not. Lily bit her lips, then looked towards Yi Zichen and bowed. Please. Boom, boom, boom. Scalp-numbing explosions continuously sounded out in the mountain range behind the spiritual breeze village, while countless black crystals fell after the explosions. Yi Zichen naturally put away all of the black crystals with his phone. It wasn't that he wanted to take it all for himself. It was mainly because the spiritual breeze villagers couldn't move them at all. It took at least 4 men to move a palm-sized piece of black crystal, which greatly affected their efficiency. Of course, all of the black crystals disappeared without a trace. Lil, you merely glanced at Yi Zichen in confusion without saying anything. From the looks of it, this ascender isn't as simple as I thought. There are ways to mine black crystals, as well as extremely rare spatial divine artifacts. If his strength is truly that of a false spiritual body, then he definitely has the support of a large family. If that wasn't the case, then this fellow had been hiding his strength from them. Lil, you clenched her fist and stared at Yi Zichen's back. If you're going to pretend, then pretend properly. Chapter 462. A leak of information never arouse a woman's curiosity. Take Xiaoyu as an example. Originally, she had quite a strong opinion of Yi Zichen, but ever since she became curious about him, Yi Zichen did not have any peace the entire way. When they finally returned to the village, Xuelan, who was picking wildflowers, stood at the entrance of the village to welcome them with a smile. Sister Xiaoyu. He ran over and handed the wildflowers to Xiaoyu. Who is this person? Why haven't I seen him before? Xuelan tilted her head and looked at Yi Zichen, whose face was as black as charcoal. She subconsciously took 2 steps forward and twitched her nose. Are you Zichen Gij? You found out. Yi Zichen scratched his head with a coy smile. Hearing that, Xuelan chuckled, then turned around and ran toward the back. As she ran, she turned around and shouted, "Wait for me. I'll go get a towel for you to wipe your face." This girl has been very sensitive to smells since she was young, Lil Yu explained with a smile. Yi Zichen looked towards her in confusion. Was this woman smiling? Damn, it seemed like their relationship wasn't harmonious at all. It was just mining, yet their relationship had changed so much. However, Yi Zichen couldn't help but think of Lulu when it came to recognizing people by scent. I haven't seen this girl in a long time. If I'm not wrong, she should be in the 3 realms right now. He wondered if he would have the chance to meet her in the future. A few minutes later, Xuelan ran over with a basin of water and a towel. Behind her was Xueqi. At the same time, Yi Zichen hurriedly took the basin and wiped his face, while Xuelan looked at him with a silly smile. You're back. How was the harvest? Xueqi smiled faintly. Xiaoyu narrowed her eyes and looked at the surrounding villagers, then raised her eyebrows. Everyone, please go back. As for the harvest in the mine, we will calculate it later. I have something to say to the village chief and deputy village chief. The men who went to the mine nodded and left. Xuelan blinked her small eyes and looked around. I have to go too? You go too. Yi Zichen, you stay. Yi Zichen, who was about to leave with the villagers, stopped. Xuelan giggled as she picked up the towel and basin. What happened? This is not the place to talk. Let's find a safer place. Spiritual Breeze Village's Ancestral Hall. What caused Yi Zichen to smile, Riley, was that the person worshipped that was actually his idiotic brother, Yang Jian. In the Ancestral Hall, Xueqi's eyebrows were tightly knitted together as he looked at the black crystals on the ground. Black crystal? How could an ore of this quality appear in the vein? Will it be normal if it's mined? Stop dreaming, okay? Do you believe that the extracted ore is normal? Lil Yu rolled her eyes speechlessly, then looked meaningfully at Yi Zichen. You have to ask him. Everyone in the Ancestral Hall looked towards Yi Zichen, sensing his gaze. Don't look at me. I don't know how I became like this. Initially, when he used his phone to store the black crystals, they were just scattered black crystals. However, once he placed them inside the treasure chest, they automatically became like this. Now, the phone showed that it was black crystal X174. 3. God knows how that 3 came out. Never mind, that's not the main point. The main problem right now is the lockdown of information. Lil, you changed the topic. Xiaoyu changed the topic. During the mining process, there were many people present. I'm afraid, impossible, the villagers wouldn't leak it to the outside world. Xueqi directly interrupted Lil Yu. Xueqi, you always think like that, Lil Yu sighed. Xiaoyu sighed softly and said, Why do you believe that no one in the village will be bribed by the outside world? I know my villagers the best. They definitely aren't that kind of people. Xueqi continuously shook his head. Xueqi kept shaking his head. It was almost impossible for him to suspect that there was a mole in their village. Lil, you merely smiled in response to Xueqi's thoughts. It's not up to you to decide whether or not there is a mole. My suggestion is for us to take the villagers and leave overnight. The black crystals we mined are more than enough for our village to buy a piece of land in the nearby city and develop to a higher level. Before Xueqi could speak, a small head popped in from outside the ancestral hall. Lil Lon, why are you here? Xueqi frowned. Xuelan stuck out her tongue and said, The victorious village's Zhou family is here. They brought a lot of people. Brother Dopey has already brought our village's people to confront them. I'm just here to tell you guys. Xueqi's face instantly froze. Lil, you also smiled faintly. So this is the village you trust? This is the name of the village that you trust? Even the Zhou family is here. What else do you have to say? Maybe there was a leak during the mining. Xueqi still didn't believe that there was a mole in the village. Even now, Xueqi still didn't believe that there was a mole in the village. Xiaoyu shrugged and said, "All right, since that's what you said, I won't insist. Let's go out and take a look." The Zhou family isn't easy to deal with. At the village entrance, Zhou Jinhe stood outside the rubble with a white-haired elder beside him. Behind them were the Zhou family's guest chamberlains and a group of thugs. As for the villagers of Victoria's village, there was none. At a time like this, the Zhou family didn't want to share a piece of the cake with the villagers. The Zhou family could eat the cake themselves. "I don't want to talk to a small fry like you. Go, call Xueqi over." Zhou Jinhe's tone was filled with disdain. The leader of the spiritual breeze village's side was a bare-chested man. He looked forward with a frown, then clenched his teeth and cursed. "Our village chief isn't someone that a scum like you can see whenever you want. Are you talking about me?" Zhou Jinhe's eyebrows instantly darkened. All of a sudden, a guest chamberlain appeared behind him and slapped Dopey's face. Slap! His teeth flowed out along with blood, while the right half of his face also turned pale. "I said that you're a small fry, so do what small fry should do. Is that something you can call a scum?" Slap! At that moment, a stone flew through the air. Zhou Jinhe was caught off guard and was directly hit by the stone, leaving a huge bruise on his forehead. He looked up and saw Yi Zichen, Xueqi, and company walk over side by side. "Oh, are you blind?" "Of course it's lousy." Yi Zichen tossed the stone in his hand, while his tone was filled with disdain. "You again?" Zhou Jinhe's expression darkened. However, he quickly let out an unbridled laugh. "You must be the ascender of spirit wind, a false spirit body. Xueqi, you've really put on a tiger's skin." Xueqi was momentarily stunned, but he quickly relaxed. With the Zhou family's current status, it was far too easy for them to invite the imperial ranking guards to a meal and get some information. He had long since thought that he would be exposed, but he didn't think that it would happen so early, especially at this time. But just as Zhou Jinhe was laughing unbridledly, another stone was thrown at his head. This time, the position of the horns was symmetrical. It looked as if he had grown 2 horns on his head. Chapter 463. 1 tower, 1 clan, 3 gates, and 6 pavilions. Zhou Jinhe's face darkened. He had never met such a pretentious person. His strength wasn't even at the false spiritual body level, yet he dared to talk back to him. No wonder the royal guard said that the ascender sent to spiritual breeze village was an idiot. He really was an idiot. "Kid, do you know who you're talking to? You've said this more than 10 times. Aren't you tired of asking? Fine, let me tell you, I'm talking to my grandson." Yi Zichen laughed mockingly. Zhou Jinhe wanted to speak up, but Xueqi walked over with a frown after arranging for someone to treat 2 balls. "Zhou Jinhe, what do you want?" Xueqi's face was filled with rage, and his right hand was tightly clenched into a fist. He actually dared to insult the name of his village in front of him. He simply didn't put the village chief in his eyes. Unfortunately, the Zhou clan was very powerful. They were mainly afraid of that false earth immortal. His identity as an ascender had already been exposed. If that false earth immortal came, he had no choice but to endure. "Xueqi, I think you're a smart person. Of course, we're here for that mine." Zhou Jinhe smiled indifferently, his fingers constantly fiddling with the white jade beads on his wrist. Hearing his meaningful words, Xueqi's expression immediately darkened. As expected, they had come for the black crystal mine. He subconsciously looked at the name of the village behind him. He did not want to admit that someone had deliberately leaked the news. But if it wasn't someone who leaked it, then how did they find out about it? If it was just a simple mining leak, then it wouldn't just be Victorious Village. Given the importance of the black crystal mine in the 3 realms, even the large clans near the capital cities would flock to it. Surnamed Zhou, If you want to snatch the treasure from our village with just the people in your family, aren't you being a little too arrogant? Stone grinned and snorted. If it didn't take that false earth immortal expert into account, the strength of their two villages was about the same. A boorish man will always be a boorish man. Do you think I'll do something I'm not sure of? As soon as he finished speaking, Zhozhina turned around and bowed with an apologetic smile. Brother-in-law, thank you for your trouble. The expressions of Xue Qi's group instantly changed. Not long after, a middle-aged man wearing a black robe appeared behind Zhou Zhenhe and the others. The back of the robe was branded with a fiery cloud. According to what I said before, I want half of the black crystals. Of course, half of the black crystals will naturally be yours, and half of the mining rights will also be given to you. Zhou Zhenhe smiled humbly. Although he called him brother-in-law, he didn't have any status in front of this man. What was even more ridiculous was that Zhou Zhenhe's father, who was obviously the man's father-in-law, could only smile awkwardly and did not dare to say a word. I understand. The man nodded indifferently and took a step forward. The spiritual pressure of a false earth immortal instantly filled the surrounding air. The powerful spiritual energy made it difficult for the people from the spiritual breeze village to breathe. Kid from the Xue clan, hand over the black crystal or, I don't want to kill, but if you don't listen to me. Creak. This was going too far. Xue Qi glared at the man. At that moment, Xuelan was unable to endure the pressure and fell towards the ground. Yi Zichen subconsciously turned around and hugged her, then subtly transferred a bit of spiritual energy into her. Zichen Gich. At that moment, her face was as pale as paper, but it was unable to hide her beauty. The false earth immortal's face flickered, and he slowly took a few steps forward. What a beautiful girl. She should be the Xue family's daughter, right? I didn't think that she would actually become so pretty after not seeing her for a few years. This sovereign has changed his mind. Let this girl be my concubine. This sovereign will take half of the black crystal ore and leave the rest for your spiritual breeze village. I'll also give you the mining rights of the entire mine. How about it? Although the man's words were a question, his tone was unquestionable. His absolute strength had the absolute right to speak here. If the spiritual breeze village wanted to continue developing, then this was the only choice they could make. However, the expressions of the Zhou family's people turned rather ugly. They did not call this person over for this kind of result. Brother-in-law. The man instantly squinted his eyes. The Zhou family's people lowered their heads without even daring to breathe. Our family's little sister should have been betrothed to an outer sect disciple of the Azure Sky Pavilion. Mengda, do you want to challenge the authority of the Azure Sky Pavilion? Xue Qi scolded with a frown. The man smiled with disdain, an outer sect disciple of the Azure Sky Pavilion. Ignoring whether the Azure Sky Pavilion will support a puny outer sect disciple like him. Just the Azure Sky Pavilion alone? Could it be that the Azure Sky Pavilion is stronger than our Fire Cloud Gate? Fire Cloud Gate. Liliu, who was on the side, was also shocked. The division of the three realms was very clear. The sky was the heavenly court, the earth was the underworld, the rogue immortal region and the endless beast region were in the middle. Ignoring the beast region, the Lingfeng village that Yi Zichen's village was located in the eastern continent. The factions were divided into 1 tower, 2 clans, 3 gates, and 4 pavilions. The 4 pavilions were already something that people of their level could only look up to. As for the 3 gates, they did not even dare to think about it. You know about the Fire Cloud Gate? Don't waste time with this sovereign. Make your choice. It's just the Fire Cloud Gate. What's there to be happy about? Suddenly, a faint laughter sounded out in the sky. This sudden noise immediately made the surrounding people subconsciously look around. It's fine if you're just a tower or a clan, but the Fire Cloud Gate? This sovereign will protect the spiritual breeze village. If you don't want to die, F*CK off. The final rebuke went straight into Meng Da's mind, causing him to cough up a mouthful of blood. He looked up into the sky in shock. Just who is causing trouble in the dark? Do you dare to show your face? If this sovereign comes out, do you think you'll still be able to speak? The cold laughter sounded out in the sky once again. Not long later, the materialized Xianyuan Xiang played with her hair and looked at Mengda with a smile. Don't piss off my master. He doesn't have a good temper. And who are you? Mengda glared at her. Xianyuan Xiang shrugged, then waved her finger, causing several beams of sword energy to shoot towards him. Crap! The moment the sword energy appeared, Mengda quickly took out the sword on his back and poured all of his spiritual energy into it. Ding! The moment the sword energy came into contact with the sword, it immediately snapped in half. Mengda quickly moved to the side, but even so, the sharp sword energy still cut into his face. Blood flowed down his face, but his heart was filled with shock. His esteemed master had personally refined that sword for him. Even a human immortal level expert would find it hard to snap it in half. At the same time, Xianyuan Xiang played with her hair again with a smile. Chapter 464. Who was the master? Divine Artifact. You're the sword-type artifact spirit of divine artifacts. Mengda's eyes were filled with shock. He never expected to meet an expert with a divine artifact here. From the artifact spirit's attack, it was at the human immortal stage. Mengda didn't dare to imagine how strong the master of the divine artifact was. He was only a false earth immortal. According to his master, his strength was only at the entry level when he entered the mortal world. His master was a human immortal. That was a height he couldn't even look up to. Sorry for disturbing you, Lord. I'll leave now. Mengda turned and left without any hesitation. The Zhou family seemed to want to say something, but they didn't dare to speak after being glared at by Mengda. For a moment, Zhou Zhenhe felt the chill from his head to the soles of his feet. Their Zhou family relied on Mengda. How could the spiritual breeze village have such a master protecting them? Let's go. Zhou Zhenhe led his villagers away with a dark expression. At this moment, Xianyuan Xiang jumped in front of him. I'm sorry, but my master has ordered that you must pay for beating up the people from the spiritual breeze village. Bang! A punch landed on Zhou Zhenhe's body. Instantly, blood sprayed out of his mouth. Xianyuan Xiang's punch directly broke his meridians. If he couldn't find some elixir or medicine, he could only be a normal person for the rest of his life. Scram! Go, go, go! Zhou Zhenhe's father hurriedly told people to carry him away. The spiritual breeze villagers looked at this scene in shock, but they soon laughed in joy. Thank you very much for your help. The spiritual breeze village's leaders all walked over. Xianyuan Xiang shrugged with a smile. Don't thank me. It was all my master's doing. I wonder if that master could show himself. We're willing to give up all our black crystals as thanks. Xueqi raised his eyebrows. Their spiritual breeze village was still too weak. They needed someone who could protect their village. Since this master had a good impression of their village, then forget it. My master already has me here. Do you think he needs those black crystals? Xianyuan Xiang smiled faintly, then raised her eyebrows and said, That's right, my master asked me to pass on a message. Please speak. If it's possible, leave this place as soon as possible. The Zhou clan and that little boy with the surname Meng will definitely not let this matter rest. With the black crystals in your village, even if you go to the capital city, you will only have better prospects. That's all I have to say. Take care. Whoosh. With that, Xianyuan Xiang disappeared from everyone's sight. Xueqi looked back at the village in a daze. This was the land that they had lived on for nearly 1,000 years. Did they have to leave just like that? Old Shui, is that person the ascender from our village? It was so strong. But why does she have a master? Didn't she just ascend? However, this ascender is really good looking. Stone walked over with his tiger-like eyes. Even now, he still hadn't realized that Xianyuan Xiang was actually an artifact spirit. This person was just too stubborn. He wouldn't understand what he was thinking unless someone else explained it to him. Xueqi, who had lived with him for so many years, understood him very well. Thus, he rolled his eyes at Stone, then looked towards Yi Zichen. So amazing. How can a woman be so amazing when she's so pretty? Is her master even more amazing? Yi Zichen continuously muttered. Stone, who was on the side, hooked his arm around Yi Zichen's shoulder with a laugh. Brat, Don't be discouraged. Work hard. We might not be able to find someone stronger than that woman, but we can find a wife prettier than that woman. Seriously? How can I imagine that he's that master? Xueqi shook his head with a sigh. I've already checked when I arrived. I can't find a false spiritual body. That master is definitely terrifyingly strong. He definitely can't be the same person as me. Seriously, too many things have happened recently, causing me to be unable to think clearly. Stone, Lilyu, come with me to the ancestral hall. The rest of you disperse. At the ancestral hall of the victorious village, Xueqi and company sat down on the cushions together after offering incense to Yang Jian respectfully. Lilyu bit her lips and glanced at Xueqi. That master told us to leave as well. What do you think? I'm not too sure either, Xueqi sighed. Xueqi let out a faint sigh. The villagers have lived here for so long. Letting them go. This is all for the sake of better development. Lilyu comforted on the side. Xiaoyu tried to comfort him. She was definitely in favor of moving away. Since the news was leaked, then more and more people will come to cause trouble for their village. They have a master protecting them this time, but they can't rely on a master to protect them every single time. If you don't want to be bullied, the best way is to become stronger. If the spiritual breeze village could produce a few earth immortals, then who would dare to bully them? Never mind. Let's find Yi Zichen tomorrow. We'll go to the capital to sell the black crystals and buy a manor. But be careful. The capital is a mess of people. I know, Xueqi replied plainly. Lilyu rolled her eyes. I'm telling Stone. He's a one-track mind. I'm afraid that he'll cause trouble. Hey, you little girl. How am I a one-track mind? Stone frowned unhappily. Lilyu immediately shrugged helplessly. Xueqi also raised his brows. Xueqi also raised his eyebrows. All right, enough. Xueqi pushed Stone down, then turned towards Lilyu. Do you think that master could be, you mean him? Lilyu shook her head. I don't think it's possible. I can't deny that he's very mysterious. But if he can take out a divine artifact with an artifact spirit, then he has to be an expert above the sky immortal level, right? Do you think it's him? All right, I was thinking too much. Xueqi bitterly smiled and shook his head. He stood up from his cushion and said, Let's disperse. We'll head to the capital tomorrow. No, what are you guys talking about? Lousy doesn't understand. You. There's no need to understand. Hurry up and go back to sleep with your wife. You rolled her eyes speechlessly, then left the ancestral hall. Is this woman bleeding? Why is she always making life difficult for Lousy? Stone raised his eyebrows in annoyance. Are you an idiot? With that, Xueqi also rolled his eyes and left, leaving Stone scratching his bald head. Old Xue is bleeding as well. Why didn't Lousy bleed before? Why did you make me do it just now? Wouldn't it have been better if you did it yourself? Xin Yuanxiang swung her legs and raised her eyebrows. Yi Zichen, who did 2 sets of sit-ups, smiled. I feel like this is pretty good. I think this is pretty good. If I reveal my identity, do you think they will still treat me like this? Definitely not, Xin Yuanxiang answered without thinking. Yi Zichen was not surprised by her answer at all and shrugged. Isn't that so? I don't want to attract so much attention. Being a minor in their village is pretty good. Creak. At that moment, the door to the room was pushed open. Xuelon poked her head out and came in from the outside. After entering the room, she started sniffing around. Not long later, she walked in front of Yi Zichen. Chapter 465. The capital Yi Zichen yawned as he sat on the bumpy carriage. He had never had a good night's sleep. That was why he was woken up by Stone and company before the sun even rose. Sleep, sleep, sleep. Are you a pig? Why do you always look like you can't wake up? You glared angrily at Yi Zichen. Yi Zichen rolled his eyes at her without replying. Do I want to do that? It's all because that girl, Xuelon, tormented me the night before. Ahem, don't get the wrong idea. They didn't do anything. It was just that girl who kept asking him if he was the master. How can a human's nose be so good? Xin Yuanxiang was clearly a spiritual body, but he was actually able to find her through her aura. Yi Zichen couldn't help but shake his head as he thought back to what happened the night before. He had even activated the fiery eyes of truth in order to determine whether the girl was a human or not. However, she was indeed a normal person and was only around the level of body tempering. Of course, The girl could smell Xin Yuan Xiang's location, but she couldn't see it. Yi Zichen naturally had to use his ability to lie, without blushing, and continuously deny the fact that the master was him. Despite that, Yi Zichen's gaze toward Shuelan seemed to be filled with disbelief when she left. "Village chief, we're here," the villager driving the carriage shouted. Yi Zichen and company immediately jumped off the carriage. "Thanks for your hard work. Hurry back." "All right." After the villager drove the carriage away, everyone looked up and saw the glorious city in front of them. Z's, it's rather grand. Yi Zichen had seen everything in the modern realm. Although the city was built rather grand, no matter how grand it was, it couldn't be as grand as the modern realm's palace. What a joke. Oh my God, just how many times bigger is this place compared to our village? Stone acted like an idiot who just entered the city. Xueqi patted his shoulder to signal him to stop yelling. Actually, it was his first time in the city as well, so he was rather shocked by the grand buildings in front of him. "How many?" The guards at the city gates, who were wearing black metal armor, asked. Lil Yu smiled. "4. Do you have a permit?" "No." Xiaoyu shook her head and took out 2 silver coins from her pocket and handed them to the guard. "We want a temporary residence permit for 7 days. And the guard nodded, and 4 tokens appeared in his hand. "The tokens will disappear in 7 days, and you will be automatically expelled from the capital city." "Understood." Once they entered the city, Stone opened his eyes wide and said, "What's the matter with you? You need to pay to stay here. 20 immortal shells for 7 days. That's too expensive." "This is nothing. We're only entering the city. If we stay in an inn, it'll be even more expensive." Xiaoyu smiled faintly. At that moment, Xueqi raised his eyebrows. "The spiritual energy here. Do you feel it?" Because the capital city was protected by a formation, the spiritual energy here was easier for people to absorb. Therefore, most powerful people would stay in the capital city. Of course, if you can buy property here, you can stay here permanently. If our villagers can live here, can you imagine to what extent we will develop in the future? Xiaoyu squinted her eyes with a smile. She knew a lot more than Xueqi and company. It was because she knew about the situation in the capital that she came to the city. This is truly a great place. It would be great if everyone in the village could live here. Xueqi was also moved. Xueqi's expression also changed. In just a short period of time, he felt as if his strength had increased. He truly didn't dare to imagine what would happen if their villagers could stay here all year round. But just now, we needed everyone to have a token when we came in. Could we villagers also? Naturally not. If we buy the manor, we can apply to become a force or a family. The city lord's manor's keeper will record it down. Then we will be able to move freely within the city. If there are any newborns, the keeper will know immediately and automatically add them. That's amazing. Yi Zichen couldn't help but raise his eyebrows when he heard Xiaoyu's words. "I thought that the system here would be the same as the one in the modern realm, where children would board the plane when they were born. I didn't think that it would be fully automatic here. That's amazing." "The methods of a sky immortal aren't as simple as you think," Xiaoyu smiled. "But the prerequisite is that we can sell these black crystals, right?" Xueqi intentionally lowered his voice. "We're not familiar with this place, so where are we supposed to go to sell them?" About this, Xiaoyu also revealed a troubled expression. She was rather knowledgeable, but that didn't mean that she had the means to sell these black crystals. "I don't know a black market, but the people there, I'm afraid of them doing the same to me." F***CK. Didn't I just owe you guys a few dozen Celeste? Do you have to treat Lord Fatty like this? Did Lord Fatty spend a lot of money here before? You guys are truly heartless. At that moment, a fatty in blue clothes stood in front of a restaurant near Yi Zichen and company and cursed with his hands on his waist. 7 or 8 bulky thugs stood in front of him, along with a seductively dressed woman. "Our restaurant doesn't take credit. What you spent before is what you spent before, and what you spent was voluntary. Now that you don't have money, you came here to spend? Do you think of the girls here easy to bully? This doesn't seem like a restaurant. Why does it feel like, look at your idiot face. Isn't it just a few dozen Celeste? Lord Fatty can tell. Do you really think that Lord Fatty has no money? Here. Slap. The fatty took out a small jade bead from his pocket and chucked it over. No need to keep the change. Just treat it as Lord Fatty's reward. Don't think about Lord Fatty coming here to spend money in the future. Also, Lord Fatty will remember your insults clearly. In a place like the capital, I think that you really don't know Lord Fatty's strength. Just wait for your shitty place to close down. With that, the fatty turned around and left with a cold smile. The seductively dressed woman didn't take his words seriously at all. She merely picked up the bead and raised her eyebrows. A low-grade spiritual bead is worth 1,000 celeste. It seems like Lanyang made a profit. The fatty felt his heart bleed when he threw the spiritual bead out. F***CK. I didn't want to throw that spiritual bead. That's a huge loss. Bang. At that moment, the fatty, who was walking with his head lowered, bumped into someone. Are you King blind? The person that the fatty bumped into was Yi Zichen. Actually, Yi Zichen had purposely let the fatty bump into him. Lil Yu and Shueqi, who were on the side, pulled him back. I have to be careful in the capital. Yet, Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows with a fake smile. Chapter 466. A small disturbance, the owner of the luxurious pawnshop waved towards Yi Zichen and company with a smile. He was in a rather good mood since he had just made a huge deal. He had earned quite a bit from selling all of the 100-odd black crystals, while Yi Zichen had saved himself the trouble of finding other channels. We look forward to working together again. Huh. Lord Fatty isn't going to come here next time. You scammer. Fatty twitched his mouth. Fatty curled his lips. He felt like the price was too low, but Lil Yu and the others all felt that an appropriate price was enough. They all wanted to get rid of this hot potato as soon as possible, so they didn't want to haggle over it. Fatty, that's not right. I'm a trustworthy merchant, the pawn shop owner smiled. The pawn shop owner chuckled at the side. Fatty rolled his eyes at him and waved his hand with his back facing the pawn shop owner. Then, he led the crowd away. It's fortunate that we met you here. Otherwise, we really wouldn't know what to do. Yi Zichen smiled. Black crystals were priced at 50,000 celestial shells per unit, and 100 or so black crystals were sold for 8 million or so. It wouldn't be too hard to buy a manor in the capital with that much celestial shells. Shueqi and company were also brimming with excitement. Buying a manor in the capital with so many celestial shells, they had already thought of the future development of the village. Lord Fatty didn't expect to meet you here either. Fatty rolled his eyes. Fatty rolled his eyes. I'm just curious. With your strength, how did you end up in such a desolate place? You already had the strength to enter the 3 realms when you were in the modern realm, right? Ahem. Yi Zichen quickly coughed, then looked at Shueqi and company beside him. Seeing that they didn't notice, he glared at Fatty to signal him to stop talking. Still acting mysterious, Fatty twitched his mouth, then shrugged. Fatty curled his lips, then shrugged. If you want to buy a manor, then go on your own. I won't be following you. Don't worry too much about hiding your wealth. I've been in the capital for so many years, but I, Lord Fatty, have never seen anyone who dares to openly rob people. You're not coming with us? Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows. I finally met someone I know in the 3 realms, so I don't really want him to leave so quickly. What's the point of going with you guys? Do I have to pay? Just do what you need to do. If you have any trouble, I will know. That's all. See you later. With that, Fatty left in the opposite direction with his hands behind his back. Only after he disappeared did Shueqi and the others speak. Why did he leave? Who knows what this Fatty is up to? Don't worry about him. We'll just buy our own. Yi Zichen twitched his mouth. At that moment, Stone hooked his arm around Yi Zichen's shoulder. Little bro, Lousy is truly curious about you. You have a spatial divine tool, and you're even able to meet acquaintances in the capital city. You even have a sales channel. Don't tell me you're a disciple of some great clan. Hearing Stone's words, Shueqi and Xiaoyu also looked at him in confusion. This ascender was indeed a little too mysterious, and there was also that mysterious expert who had inexplicably helped him that day. Shueqi knew that the expert wouldn't be targeting him, let alone their village. Yi Zichen was there as well. Could that master have wanted to protect him? Can you guys not look at me like that? Let's hurry up and buy the manor. The villagers are still waiting for us. Yi Zichen replied guiltily. Lil, you looked at him meaningfully a few times, then nodded. That's right. Let's go buy a manor. At this moment, the sound of galloping horses suddenly rang out in the middle of the street. Everyone turned around and saw a man with 7 or 8 men in official robes galloping in the middle of the street. Who are they? Aren't horses not allowed in the city? Xueqi raised his eyebrows in confusion. Hearing this, Xiaoyu pouted. Is there a need to think about it? It must be a big shot that ordinary people can't afford to offend. Let's not think too much about it. Let's just go and buy our garden. You're right. Yi Zichen nodded. Just as he was about to leave, he noticed a woman carrying a little boy in the middle of the road in front of him. Judging from the speed of the woman's horse and their walking speed, they shouldn't be able to dodge in time. Whoosh! Yi Zichen's figure flashed, and he shielded the woman and child in his arms. At the same time, he reached out and slapped the horse. The horse raised its front hooves in fright, and a handsome young man on its back also fell off the horse. Young master! Everyone hurriedly gathered around them. Yi Zichen turned around and patted the little fellow's head, then smiled and said, Don't worry about it. Hurry up and leave. Thank you, thank you. The woman repeatedly nodded in thanks, then left in a hurry. At that moment, Xueqi and company also noticed that Yi Zichen had disappeared. Where did Yi Zichen go? Look, isn't that him? Stone pointed at Yi Zichen, who was in a standoff with the riders in the middle of the road with a frown. This guy really knows how to cause trouble. Xiaoyu bit her lips. These people didn't look like they should be provoked. Let's go and take a look. The handsome young man on horseback had fallen quite heavily. With the help of the others, he walked in front of Yi Zichen. The woman and the child just now. Let's go. Yi Zichen replied plainly. If you think that they startled your horse and want to blame them, then you don't have to. I flipped your horse over. How are you talking to my big brother? The young man beside the handsome young man spoke up. Yi Zichen rolled his eyes at him, then continued. This is the road for people to walk in the city, not for you guys to ride on horses. This is a road for people to walk in the capital, not a road for you to ride on horseback. If you like to ride on horseback, then ride outside. I'm really sorry. We were in a bit of a hurry. That's why. The handsome young man replied apologetically. Yi Zichen could tell from his tone that he shouldn't be some wastrel who liked to tease commoners, causing his cold expression to soften a little. You guys have to look after people if you're in a hurry. Never mind. I'm in a hurry too, so I won't bullshit with you guys so much. Yi Zichen rolled his eyes. Yi Zichen rolled his eyes, then glanced at Xueqi and the others, who were anxiously signaling him with their eyes. Hey, do you know who we are? You dare to speak to us like that? The handsome young man's little brother raised his hand to stop him. Yi Zichen squinted his eyes and slapped his arm away, then walked towards Xueqi and company without looking back. Ah, what terrifying power! The handsome young man's little brother swung his arm, then looked towards Yi Zichen with a hint of passion in his eyes. The handsome young man also squinted his eyes and looked at him with interest. Hey, what's your name? Yi Zichen, who was about to leave, turned around when he heard the young man's voice after listening to Lil Yu and company's worried complaints. Yi Zichen. Chapter 467. Chapter 467. Buying a house, Yi Zichen. The handsome young man smiled faintly and squinted his eyes. The men behind him also walked over at this moment and said. At the same time, the men behind him also walked over. Young master, the time we agreed on with the city lord manor is about to tell him to wait. I'm rather interested in that brat just now. Follow them. With that, the handsome young man wanted to get on his horse. However, just as he was about to do so, he suddenly recalled Yi Zichen's words. Store them. We're going on foot. At that moment, Lil Yu continued to nag beside Yi Zichen. All along the way, even Rock became slightly impatient from listening to them, and he raised his brows as he spoke. Why are you so talkative? It's just a small matter. Is there need to talk for so long? What do you mean a small matter? It's fortunate that the person just now didn't have a bad personality. Do you know how dangerous it would be if he was a dandy? Lil Yu glared. Yi Zichen scratched his head and raised his eyebrows. All right, I was wrong. All right, I was wrong. Please don't scold me anymore. I won't dare to do it again. At this moment, everyone arrived at the real estate sales center. Xiao Yu's mouth, which had not been idle, finally stopped. The real estate center in the city felt quite similar to the modern realm. There were also miniature models for you to look at. Hello, we have our eyes on that 7 million yuan manor. Just pay directly, the sales lady replied plainly. Xueqi and company replied plainly. Xueqi and company did not show any displeasure towards that, and merely looked towards Yi Zichen for him to pay. After Yi Zichen paid the money, the sales lady handed him a key. Lily, is the peony garden I saw the other day still there? I'm going to buy it this time. A middle-aged man wearing armor suddenly appeared at the checkout counter. When the real estate sales lady saw him, her expression immediately changed. Of course it is. Captain Liu, please wait a moment. With that, the sales lady flipped through the sales record book. Lil Yu blinked on the side, then raised her eyebrows. Of course it is. Lil Yu blinked, then raised her eyebrows. It seems like we bought the peony garden just now. Xueqi couldn't help but nod when he saw the sign, then turned towards the sales lady. You already sold the peony garden to us just now. Sold it to you? The sales lady frowned, and Captain Liu frowned as well. What's going on? Didn't I tell you to keep it for me for a few days? How'd it get sold? Captain Liu, don't worry. Then she poured out the 7 million celeste she had just received from Yi Zichen and company from her spatial pouch. I'll return the money to you. Give me back the badge I gave you earlier. You can do that when buying a house here? Yi Zichen squinted his eyes. The real estate sales lady also snorted. Why not? Captain Liu needs this courtyard. If you guys know what's good for you, then give it to him. I'm really... Yi Zichen had never encountered such a ridiculous plot in his life. If it was him, he really wanted to slap the real estate sales lady. Of course, Captain Liu wasn't a good person either. Xiao Yu shook her head at the side. They were unfamiliar with this place, so it was best not to cause trouble. Give it back to them. I saw other good gardens in other places just now. Here. The real estate sales lady slammed the badge onto the table, then smiled proudly and handed it back to Captain Liu. All of a sudden, a badge flew through the air and embedded itself into the wall. I'm taking all 13 gardens near the City Lord's Manor in the East District. Who dares to cause trouble in my territory? Captain Liu frowned. When he turned around to look at the people who had arrived, his expression instantly changed. Is there a problem? An indifferent yet unquestionable tone sounded out. At that moment, Yi Zichen and company also turned around and saw that it was the handsome young man that they had met on the way. And no, Captain Liu, who was extremely arrogant just a moment ago, answered with a trembling voice. The handsome young man narrowed his eyes and smiled. Hearing that, the handsome young man squinted his eyes and smiled. Leave the badge behind, then leave. Captain Liu placed the badge on the table without any hesitation and left dejectedly. The handsome young man waved his hand towards the badge embedded in the wall, causing it to automatically return to his hand. During this process, Yi Zichen intentionally glanced at the token. There seemed to be the word Earth on the token, but he wasn't sure if it was Earth or not. It flew so fast that he didn't have time to see it clearly. I didn't think we'd meet again, Yi Zichen. The handsome young man walked over with a smile, while the young man behind him also shook his head towards Yi Zichen with a smile. We want longevity garden. Yi Zichen completely ignored him, but the handsome youth wasn't angry. Instead, he walked over with a smile. I want all the gardens in the Eastern District. It seems that longevity garden is among them. But if you want to buy the peony garden, I can let you have it. It's fine if you look like a sissy, but why are you so bad at doing things? Yi Zichen frowned in annoyance. Fine, we won't buy the gardens in the East District. We'll give them all to you, all right? Yi Zichen rolled his eyes, then left after paying for a courtyard in the West District. The handsome young man rubbed his chin with his slender fingers and raised his eyebrows with interest. You said I'm a sissy. I told you not to dress like that when we came, but you didn't believe me. You look a bit sissy like that. The handsome young man's younger brother twitched his mouth speechlessly. The handsome young man's younger brother pouted speechlessly. The young man raised his hand and hit him on the head. You're everywhere. As soon as he finished speaking, He told the man behind them to buy the rest of the gardens in the West District and raised his eyebrows. Come, follow him. I don't believe that I can't chat with him for more than 10 sentences. Just as he was about to follow Yi Zichen, a group of people appeared at the entrance of the real estate center. The person leading the group was a bulky man with a square face. City Lord. The people in the real estate center quickly bowed. The handsome young man's younger brother also raised his eyebrows. Z's, it seems like we can't keep up this time. TSK, looks like he can't keep up this time. But this city lord is really impatient. The handsome young man also patted his forehead with a look of helplessness, then walked towards the city lord with a smile. The gardens in the West District were slightly smaller than the ones in the East District, so the price was naturally not much lower. However, this garden was still more than enough for Spiritual Breeze Village. Coincidentally, the Celeste left behind could be used to buy food or cultivation items. Yi Zichen, just stay here. We'll go and bring the villagers over. Sure, I don't want to waste time either. Yi Zichen nodded and watched them leave. Fong Ting, who was sitting in the garden, took out his phone. There were 10 odd messages on his social media app. He subconsciously clicked them open and noticed. Chapter 468. Suyan's message. Suyan. How is this possible? Why would Suyan send me a message? Yi Zichen quickly clicked on her profile picture and looked at the time of the message. Just 10 minutes ago, all of a sudden, Yi Zichen's heart raced. Could it be that after the modern realm was frozen, Suyan was also expelled and ascended to the 3 realms? Suyan. Yi Zichen replied in a testing manner. The moment he sent the message, Suyan directly sent him a video call. Gulp. Yi Zichen gulped. Except, it really is you. In the video, Suyan covered her mouth with tears in her eyes. When Yi Zichen saw that the person in the video was truly Suyan, he was stunned. He stared blankly for a long time, unable to utter a single word. Suyan finally spoke up. At that moment, Suyan spoke up. Kiki told me that you would definitely reply if I sent you a message. I didn't believe her. Is Kiki with you? Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows in confusion. In the video, Suyan moved to the side, while Xia Kiki also appeared and waved towards him. Hey Zichen Ji, what's going on? Why are the two of them together? Are you two still in the modern realm? Yi Zichen asked in confusion. Suyan shook her head, while Xia Kiki replied, How is that possible? How is this possible? Hasn't the modern world been frozen? Su and I were also kicked out. We're in the 3 realms now. Zichen Ji is in the 3 realms as well, right? Why yes, that's great. It seems like we'll have a chance to meet again. Su and I are in the south of the Endless Beast region, the territory of the dragon race and the 9-tailed fox. Zichen Ji, are you far away from us? If not, then come over. At the Endless Beast region, Yi Zichen looked over in confusion. Xinyuan Xiang crawled out from his arm and raised her eyebrows. You're currently in the northern immortal region. Right now, you're in the northern celestial region. It's thousands of miles away from the Endless Beast region. If you want to go there, with your current strength, it'll be difficult. Hey, Zichen Ji, the signal isn't good. Why aren't you talking? Xia Kiki continuously waved her hands in the video, while Yi Zichen repeated Xinyuan Xiang's words to them. In the video, Suyan's expression immediately darkened. Xia Kiki also shrugged helplessly. That's true. Zichen Ji is a human. All right then, Su and I will go and find you when we get stronger. Humans? Yi Zichen knew that Xia Kiki was a dragon, but shouldn't Su Yin be? Third miss, the medicinal bath is ready. Please. At that moment, a woman in white with 2 pointy ears appeared in the video. Su Yin nodded silently when she saw her, then waved towards Yi Zichen in the video. I'll be looking for you. At the same time, Xia Kiki giggled and nodded. Zichen Ji, bye-bye. Pa. The video ended there. Su Yin, who had turned off the video, reluctantly placed her phone to the side. Coco grabbed her hand and smiled. Don't be like that. At least we know that Zichen Gij is in the 3 realms as well. Isn't that great? Yes, you're right. Su Yin smiled warmly. At this moment, the pointy-eared woman spoke up. Young Lady Xia, do you need us to prepare a medicinal bath for you as well? Hearing that, Xia Kiki immediately shook her head like a rattle drum. I don't need it. I can't enjoy your nine-tailed fox's medicinal baths. With that, she stood up from the chair. Susu, come and play with me after this. Susu, come and find me at my place after it's over. Okay. Suyin nodded with a smile. Suyin faintly smiled and nodded. The pointy-eared woman once again spoke. Third miss. All right, I got it. Take me over. Yizichen's heart was filled with shock as he sat in the pavilion. However, it was quickly replaced by uncontrollable joy. Su Yin and Kiki were both safe and were currently in the three realms. It seems like I need to quickly increase my strength and expand my forces to meet up with them. Little fellow, don't look so far ahead. The relationship between the beast region and the human race isn't that good. If you go, hee. Xin Yuan Xiang poured cold water on Yi Zichen. Can you stop discouraging me? Give me some confidence. Oh, I see. Xin Yuan Xiang nodded in understanding. Then her expression changed. I owe my master. You're the strongest, the most powerful man in the world. The endless beast region is nothing. As long as you want it, the entire three realms will be yours. Stop. Xin Yuan Xiang hurriedly raised her hand to stop her and curled her lips unhappily. Why don't you let me say it? Don't you like me to give you confidence? Haha, there's no need. Yi Zichen rolled his eyes, then called out to the old dragon god in his sea of consciousness. At that moment, he already knew where Su Yin and Xia Kiki were, so he had to rush over as fast as he could. As for letting the two of them look for him, that was fine. As a man, how could he let his women run around? 3 days passed by in the blink of an eye. During these 3 days, Yi Zichen tried to break through to the human immortal level multiple times, but failed every single time. After a failed attempt, Yi Zichen opened his eyes helplessly. When he turned around, he saw that the old dragon god was also looking at him helplessly. Don't look at me. There's nothing I can do about it. You could have broken through to the human immortal level last time, but you gave up. It was very dangerous last time. Yi Zichen sighed. The old dragon god nodded. It might have been very dangerous, but you really can't break through to the human immortal level right now. You should have felt it. Every time you failed, the next attempt would be even more difficult. It might have been very dangerous, but you really can't break through to the human immortal level right now. Yi Zichen nodded. That's true. Yi Zichen nodded, then raised his eyebrows. Am I going to stay at the complete stage of the earth immortal level forever? That's not necessary. The old dragon god shook his head. Aren't you already in the three realms? There's a type of grass in the three realms called barrier-breaking grass, which can be used to refine barrier-breaking pills. This pill is suitable for anyone below the Immortal King level. After eating it, they can directly break through regardless of the barrier. Each person can only eat one. Normally, people who eat this pill only eat it when a human immortal is breaking through to the sky immortal level. As for you, in your current situation, I feel like you could try this pill. Barrier-breaking pill. Yi Zichen suddenly pursed his lips and smiled. If it was pills, then he had, you mean the bottleneck-breaking pill? On the phone, old Lord Taishang raised his eyebrows and replied, If you had contacted me a few days earlier, I could have given it to you. Just a few days ago, my last barrier-breaking pill was taken away by that brat, Yang Jian. Then you can't refine anymore? Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows. I can refine it, but I still need materials. The barrier-breaking grass doesn't exist in the heavenly court at all. The last barrier-breaking grass was obtained by chance when I was traveling in the lower realm. Old Lord Taishang replied indifferently. Chapter 469. Xuelan gets married. Never mind about getting the barrier-breaking pill from Yang Jian. My brother clearly needs this pill to break through to the sky immortal level from the human immortal level. It seems like I can only get the barrier-breaking grass from old Lord Taishang if I want the barrier-breaking pill. I'll find you after I find the barrier-breaking grass. Sure, then we'll contact each other then. Yi Zichen logged out of the social media app, then sat on the bed in his room in a daze. Barrier-breaking grass. Where do I get that? It should be a treasure since it can ignore the barrier. I don't even need to think about normal pharmacies. Zichen Gij. The door to the room was pushed open, and Xuelon ran in with a giggle in a white floral dress. During this period of time, all of the spiritual breeze villagers had already moved into the manor in the capital. They had already given up on the mine over there. As expected, the news of the Black Crystal Mine was leaked. In less than 3 hours after they left, there were already families that dared to go there. Fortunately, all of the spiritual breeze villagers had already left. What is it? Yi Zichen put his phone back into his pocket and stretched, then rubbed Xuelan's head. Through this period of time, the girl had gotten closer to him and would run into his room a few times a day. Big brother said that we're going to eat together, so he told me to call you. Is everyone in the village going together? Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows in shock. Xuelon shook her head. No, just Lil Yujijia, Big Brother Stone, me, and you. That's a bit strange. Xueqi was definitely not the type of person to forget about the villagers when he had something good to do. He said that he was going out to eat with only them. All right, let's go. Yi Zichen jumped down from the bed, then walked out of the room with Lil Lon. Xueqi finally made up his mind and ordered a table of 500 Celeste worth of food at a certain high-class hotel in the capital. However, what was surprising was that Lil Yu did not stop him at all, while Stone maintained a faint smile. Isn't that a bit too extravagant? Yi Zichen understood very well just how hard it was to earn Celeste here. 1 Celeste here was basically equivalent to 100 yuan in the modern realm. So 500 Celeste was 50,000 yuan. You don't understand. Stone patted his shoulder and glanced at Xiaolan at the same time. The little lass maintained a silly and adorable smile as she tapped her lips with her finger and blinked at the food on the table. Actually, Xiaolan is getting married next week. I'll send her there after dinner. Xueqi is sending Xiaolan off. Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows in confusion. At this moment, Xuelon also turned around and giggled. From the looks of it, she already knew everything. I see. Yi Zichen nodded with a smile, patted Lil Lan's head, then picked up his chopsticks and placed some food onto her plate. Eat more. The meal wasn't particularly enjoyable, especially for Xueqi. His expression was extremely ugly the entire time. Xuelon, on the other hand, was smiling from beginning to end, even though she had never seen her husband before. At the entrance of the restaurant, Xueqi held Lil Lan's hand and said goodbye to everyone. Lil Yu couldn't help but cry. At the same time, Yi Zichen also licked his lips and walked over to pat Xuelan's head. If the people over there dare to bully you, then tell Zichenji. Zichenji will go beat them up for you. Sure, Lil Lan giggled. Lil Yu couldn't help but twitch her mouth. Even the outer sect disciples of the Azure Sky Pavilion are of the spiritual body level or above. Even the outer sect disciples of the Azure Sky Pavilion are at least at the spiritual body level. I heard that Xiaolan's husband is already an inner sect disciple. That means he's at least at the false earth immortal level. What about me? I have to fight him even if I can't beat him. I can't bully my girl. Yi Zichen rolled his eyes. Xuelon giggled. Zichengij treats me the best. Xuelon giggled. Zichengij treats me the best. After chatting a bit more, Xueqi and Xuelon left together. As they left, Xuelon continuously turned around and waved towards Yi Zichen and company. Lil Yu continuously wiped away her tears. Xuelon was the little sister she had watched grow up. She really couldn't bear for her to leave just like that. Whatever. It's a good marriage for Lil Lan to marry him. What are you crying for? Stone patted Lil Yu's shoulder, but his eyes were also a bit wet. They were all children that they had watched grow up in the same village, so how could they not feel sad? Simon, let's go back. Xueqi will give us candy when he comes back. Stone pulled Lil Yu's arm and walked back. However, at that very moment, 2 men appeared in front of them. Yi Zichen, what a coincidence. We meet again. The people that appeared in front of them were none other than the man that Yi Zichen called a sissy and his little brother. Stone, go back. Don't mind me. Yi Zichen gave Stone and company. After sending them off with his gaze, Yi Zichen squinted his eyes and frowned. Say, why are you always haunting me? I say, why are you always haunting me? What exactly do you want? What do you mean, what do I want? Does this city belong to you? You're not letting me leave? The sissy man's voice was rather soft, causing Yi Zichen's ears to feel extremely uncomfortable. Seriously, Fine, I can't offend him, but can I hide? With that, Yi Zichen walked to the side. Unexpectedly, the sissy chased after him a few steps and stopped him. The capital city is so big. It must be fate that we met 3 times. Don't you want to know my name? To be honest, I really don't want to. Yi Zichen twitched his mouth coldly. The sissy's little brother couldn't help but chuckle. It seems like he's never seen his brother get so humiliated in his life. Bang! The sissy rolled his eyes at his little brother and said, "Don't worry, I'll let you go. Smile, smile, smile again." Ahem! The young man coughed violently, then forcefully suppressed his laughter. Bro, if you don't want to listen to him, then I'll speak. Let me introduce myself. My name is Zhuoliang. The sissy you mentioned is called Zhuo. It has nothing to do with me. Yi Zichen rolled his eyes, then subconsciously looked towards the sissy. Mo. TSK. This name was wasted by him. Hey, why are you so annoying? So rude. Zhuo pouted in annoyance. Seeing that, Yi Zichen's stomach immediately flipped, causing him to nearly vomit out all of the duck liver he just ate. Were you acting like a spoiled brat just now? Yi Zichen finally managed to suppress his churning stomach, then rolled his eyes speechlessly and questioned Zhuo. Chapter 470. Chapter 470. Guarding my daisy, Zhuoliang snickered on the side as if he was watching a show. It's so fun to see Zhuo get beaten up. Who asked me to keep bullying him at home? Great, now I've met my match. Zhuo also frowned in annoyance. I've never met a man who treats me like this. However, it was precisely this sort of person that caused me to be unable to suppress my curiosity. I just want to say a few words to this man. I don't want to do anything. Then if you don't want to do anything, then hurry up and move aside. Otherwise, I'm going to beat you up. Yi Zichen glared at him with a frown. Suddenly laughed and twitched his mouth. His eyes were filled with disdain. Not long later, his body released a spiritual pressure that was no weaker than a human immortal's. You want to beat me up? F***CK. How can a sissy be so strong? Yi Zichen rolled his eyes speechlessly. Of course, this level of pressure did not threaten him at all. Stop showing off in front of me. If you have something to say, then say it. If not, then leave. Yi Zichen rolled his eyes speechlessly. Zhuo and Zhuoliang both raised their eyebrows in shock when they saw that he was completely fine. This person is hiding his strength. According to their detection, Yi Zichen's strength was around the false spiritual body level. When Zhuoliang said that he was strong, they thought that he was a body-tempering genius. Only now did they understand that this person was intentionally hiding his strength. Interesting. All of a sudden, Zhuo became even more curious about him. He squinted his eyes and retracted his spiritual pressure, then raised his eyebrows. I wonder which of the 6 pavilions and 3 gates you are from. The place you mentioned is too high class. I am a miner from Spiritual Breeze Village. Yi Zichen replied plainly. Miner? All right, then are you interested in following me? I can give you a salary of 1,000 celeste a day. How about it? Zhuo smiled. Yi Zichen scratched his eyebrows and twitched his mouth. I refuse. You think that's too little? Zhuo raised his eyebrows. 10,000. I don't want to go even if you give me 1,000,000. Yi Zichen shrugged helplessly. Can you tell me the reason? Zhuo asked with a light smile. I'm afraid that your sexual orientation is abnormal. If I follow you, this daisy that I've been guarding for more than 20 years will bloom for the first time with you. I want to protect my daisy. Zhuo bit her lips. Her face is red as an apple. Zhuoliang couldn't help but laugh. He slapped his thigh and raised his eyebrows. Brother, actually, don't say it. Zhuo glared at Yi Zichen and scolded, then turned around to look at Yi Zichen. Very good. I'll remember you. Don't think about this flower of mine. Even if you break your head thinking about it, this flower is not yours. Yi Zichen replied indifferently. Zhuoliang nearly fainted from laughter. After a while, he recovered and put his hand on Zhuo's shoulder. Let's go. No matter what you say, this brother won't go with you. Why don't you try taking off your clothes? F***CK off. Zhuo scolded angrily. All right, the auction is going to start soon. Don't forget why we came here. Seriously, Mo bit her lips again, then stomped her feet like a little girl with a snort. Let's go. The Zwo brothers left. After they left, Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows and looked at them in confusion. There should be a lot of good treasures in an auction like this, right? I might be able to find barrier-breaking grass there. However, Yi Zichen felt extremely uncomfortable when he thought about Zwo Mo going there as well. Never mind. I'll be careful and not let him see me. Let's go and see if there's any barrier-breaking grass. Yi Zichen managed to sneak into the auction house without any obstructions. The auction house had a total of 9 floors. The first to 6 floors were the normal trading area, where various vendors sold various ores, spiritual herbs, and other goods. The 7th, 8th, and 9th floors were the auction area. The 7th floor was the normal area, while the 8th and 9th floors were the VIP areas that only people with status could stay in. As for Yi Zichen, he sat in the normal area on the 7th floor as expected. During that period of time, Yi Zichen also learned quite a bit of information. The auction house was actually just set up by the treasure tower, and the people from the treasure tower were in charge of the auction. It was rumored that anything that the treasure tower auctioned was either precious or valuable. Most of the people sitting on the first floor were there to watch the show and gain some experience. The only ones who could actually bid were the people on the 8th and 9th floors. Of course, Yi Zichen couldn't completely deny the customers on the 7th floor. After all, the saying that experts were among the people wasn't a groundless one. Thank you, everyone, for coming to our Treasure Tower's auction. We, the Treasure Tower, have never been one to waste time on idle chatter. Let's start with the first item. 2 attendants brought over a plate covered with a red cloth. When the red cloth was lifted, there was a long spear inside. Earth-grade spiritual treasure, wind-breaking spear. This spiritual treasure was made by the artifact refiner by Ling. This spiritual treasure has an innate fire attribute attack. Friends with fire attribute spiritual energy, you can start bidding. Of course, if friends with other attributes want to collect it, then I won't stop you. The host chuckled on the stage, while the surrounding people started to raise the price like crazy. However, Yi Zichen was completely confused. Isn't this Wu Liang? F*CK. Doesn't that mean that he and that sissy are from the treasure tower? No wonder they were willing to pay 10,000 Celeste a day to me. The people of the treasure tower are truly rich. But what the hell are they talking about? Earth-grade spiritual treasure, fire attribute attack, artifact refiner. Although Yi Zichen was completely confused, the final price of the weapon stopped at 900,000 Celeste. It should be very expensive, right? It seems like the most expensive weapons I saw on the 6th floor were only a few 100,000 Celeste. All right, the wind-breaking spear has been sold for 900,000 Celeste. Congratulations to the lucky gentleman. Our staff will contact you later. All right, let's start the second item. Just like that, Zwo Liang traded around 20 items without any time to breathe. All of the items were roughly priced between 5 to 2 million Celeste. Yi Zichen did some calculations. In just half an hour, the auction house had already auctioned off nearly 30 million Celeste. If it was based on a 5% commission, then it truly was an extremely profitable industry. However, when Zwo Liang left the stage after auctioning off the 20 items, the customers did not reveal any strange expressions. Instead, their gazes became even more heated and filled with anticipation. Whoosh! A long-haired woman wearing a blue qipao with crystal shoes walked out from behind the curtain. The moment she appeared, a series of screams immediately sounded out in the auction hall. Shoo! The woman placed her finger by her lips with a smile, causing the noisy hall to immediately quiet down. Yi Zichen was actually the one who was even more quiet. Chapter 471. Yang Jian's breakthrough. Yi Zichen nodded in understanding when he found out that Zwo Mo was actually a girl. It was no wonder that he felt so disgusted by the other party's actions earlier. If it was built on a girl, then it would be normal. However, this had nothing to do with him. He had only come here to see if there was any barrier-breaking grass. After the warm-up just now, I'm sure everyone isn't very satisfied. Don't worry, the auctions hosted by us, the Treasure Tower, never disappoint any customer. Here, there's nothing that we can't get, as long as you can think of it. Zwa Mo, who had returned to being a woman, had a slightly sharper voice, but was full of energy. In just a few words, the atmosphere at the scene heated up to a new height. The ordinary customers on the 7th floor shouted crazily, ignoring the people around them. Even some rich kids on the 8th floor opened their windows and whistled. Let the auction begin. The first item is the famed saber, War Sky. This blade was made by the weapon refining Grandmaster Zhang Hai, and the materials used to make it were mostly earth grade or immortal grade materials. Human tier, spiritual treasure, water attribute variant, ice attribute attack. Special skill, water screen. Able to create a water screen in front of a user for defensive purposes. The starting price is 10 million Celeste. The instant Blade entered the arena, everyone's gazes were drawn to him, including Yi Zichen. The blade was very thin and felt like a katana. There was a faint mist of water lingering on its surface, and the moment it appeared, a cold current was produced in the auction hall. It was just as Zuemo had said, water element mutated ice element. Why are you looking at it like that? It's nothing compared to me. Xin Yuan Xiang twitched her mouth in a slightly jealous manner. Yi Zichen couldn't help but shake his head when he saw that. I'm just taking a look. Who doesn't know that you're the number 1 divine artifact of the primordial times? Who would dare to compare with you? That's more like it. Only then did Xin Yuan Xiang snort in satisfaction and crawl back into his arm. However, in this short period of time, the price of the famous saber had already risen to the height of 30 million. He looked at the blade with some reluctance. Although it looked good, it was indeed a good weapon. Unfortunately, he had no money. Seriously, the treasures in this auction must be worth hundreds of millions. Yi Zichen couldn't help but mutter to himself. At that moment, a bearded man sitting beside him suddenly laughed heartily. 100 million? Little brother, you're underestimating the treasure tower's strength too much. Miss Mo is personally hosting the auction. It's impossible for it to be less than 10 billion. Tens of billions? If it was in a modern world, wow, no top company in the world could compare to this auction. With a commission of 5%, this was equivalent to earning half of Taobao. With such a high transaction limit, no one dares to come and snatch it. Yi Zichen said naughtily. Hearing that, the bearded man quickly covered his mouth. What? Yi Zichen expressed that he was not interested in men, nor did he like to have any physical contact with men. Do you want to die? You dare to rob in the Treasure Tower's auction house. Of course, there were some who had the heart to do so, but who had the guts to do so? The Treasure Tower is one of the peak forces in the outer region of the Immortal Region. Do you think they're weak? According to my estimation, there are no less than 10 perfected human immortals in this auction house. Even Sky Immortals might be guarding this place. The bearded man said carefully. Yi Zichen merely shrugged casually. He was just saying it casually. Even if someone really did snatch it, it had nothing to do with him. Yi Zichen shrugged towards the bearded man. The man also noticed that Yi Zichen was no longer interested in chatting, so he turned back to look at the famous saber on the stage with a burning gaze. Ding dong. At that moment, Yi Zichen's phone rang. Noticing that everyone was looking at the auction stage, Yi Zichen took out his phone and saw that the person who sent him the message was Yang Jian. Bro, old Lord Taishang told me that you need the barrier-breaking pill. He told you? Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows. But didn't you take the pill? Never mind. I'll get the barrier-breaking grass from somewhere else and get him to refine another one for me. Huh. I can't give it to you even if you want it. I don't want it even if you give it to me. What you broke through? Yes. At that moment, Yang Jian, who was sitting in the true Lord manner, sat proudly on a wrought tan chair in the courtyard, while a faint golden aura flowed around his body. Yes, he broke through. After using the barrier-breaking pill and 3 days of seclusion, he finally stepped into the early stage of the Sky Immortal level from the Human Immortal level. He was extremely cocky at that moment. If it wasn't because old Lord Taishang told him that Yi Zichen needed the barrier-breaking pill, he would have challenged the monkey to a fight. Not bad, not bad. If you become stronger, then you can come and support me when I get beaten up. Yi Zichen smiled. Yang Jian immediately slapped his thigh and laughed when he saw the message. No problem. Yi Zichen sent the message. After sending the message, he suddenly remembered that old Lord Taishang was not the only one who sent him a message, so he replied on his phone. Are you with Tai Bai? No. Ever since Yizichen came to the Three Realms, he didn't have the time to contact too many people. The main reason was that he wasn't sure whether those people came to the Three Realms with him. However, Yang Jian's words made him realize that Tai Bai would definitely come here. Tai Bai sent me a message just now. He said that the modern realm is already sealed in ice. He's near the immortal region and told me to go and find him. Yi Zichen was momentarily stunned when he saw the message, then quickly replied, I'm right here in the immortal region. Isn't that perfect? We couldn't see each other often when you were in the modern realm. I'll go down from the heavenly realm to meet up with Tai Bai. Then we'll go and find you together. Tell me where you are in the immortal region. That really troubled Yi Zichen. Yi Zichen licked his lips, then turned around and carefully patted the bearded man's shoulder. Bro, which part of the immortal region do we belong to? The bearded man was clearly stunned. He couldn't understand why this bro beside him would ask such an idiotic question, but he still replied, Maple City. Thank you, thank you. If someone comes to cause trouble later, I'll definitely protect you. The bearded man nodded nonchalantly, but muttered in his heart. This brat can't be thinking about robbing the treasure tower, right? Otherwise, why would he keep saying that something bad would happen? But his strength, Maple City. When Yi Zichen sent the message to Yang Jian, he only received a see you later before not replying. At that moment, Yi Zichen also looked up and noticed that the bearded man was staring at a certain spot on the second floor. So the auction for the famous saber had already ended, and it seems like the blade is in the hands of a rich family's disciple. At the same time, Zhuo Mo brought up the second auction item. All right, the second auction item, barrier-breaking grass. Zhuo Mo smiled the moment the item was brought up. Yi Zichen also opened his eyes wide. Chapter 472. Zhuo Mo's trouble, to be honest. Yi Zichen only came here to try his luck. He hadn't expected that he would really be able to find one. However, he didn't know how much it would cost. The famous sabers before him were already worth tens of millions. Then, this barrier-breaking grass, would it be more expensive? I'm sure all of you are aware of the effects of the barrier-breaking grass. It is suitable for those below the great circle of human immortal stage. After consuming it, there is a 10% chance of breaking through. This is very important for those who are at the bottleneck of breaking through. This time, there are 10 barrier-breaking grass. Below the great circle human immortal stage, 10% chance of breaking through. This seemed to be a little different from the barrier-breaking pill that old Lord Taishang had mentioned, but this was normal. She should have been referring to eating it directly, while old Lord Taishang was referring to refining it into a pill. However, the 10 strands caused Yi Zichen to feel a bit helpless. Mo didn't specify whether he would sell it separately or all at once, and no one in the auction house asked. The customers sitting on the 7th floor didn't even dare to dream of using such a luxury item to break through. As for the bosses of the 8th and 9th floors, they didn't lack Celeste. Ahem, a question. Zichen forced himself to raise his hand in order to walk up the steps of becoming a human immortal. Everyone in the auction hall looked towards him. Zhuo Mo, who was hosting the auction, also looked over in confusion. When she saw that it was Yi Zichen, her smile instantly changed. Well, sir, what's your problem? Although she was smiling, Yi Zichen was certain that it was a murderous smile. In her heart, she was probably thinking about how to play with him. But he couldn't do anything. I just want to ask, are you selling the barrier-breaking grass separately or together? Mister, do you want to buy one or all of them? Zhuo Mo answered with a smile. Many of the rich playboys of the 8th floor were so angry that their teeth itched. The goddess was actually talking to someone from the 7th floor, and she was even talking with a smile. Of course I want to buy it alone. Yi Zichen didn't want to buy them all. The more, the better. When old Lord Taishang refines the barrier-breaking pill, even if he couldn't use it, he could give it to the people around him. Oh, I see. Zhuo Mo smiled. Then I'm sorry. We'll sell them together. Pooh. Zhuo Yang, who was standing below the trading platform, couldn't help but burst into laughter. His sister was really going against her brother. Originally, The barrier-breaking grass was going to be sold separately. This way, it would be easier to squeeze more people to get a good price. But because of this brother's words, she changed her mind at the last minute. She was the only one who could do it. If it was anyone else from the treasure tower, they wouldn't have the authority to do so. At the same time, the hedonistic sons of the 8th floor also cheered inwardly. A goddess was indeed a goddess. She just couldn't be nice to this kind of country bumpkin. When it came to Yi Zichen, good, very good. He forced a smile on his face and nodded at Zuo. He could tell that this woman was purposely causing trouble for him. As for her previous words, she was just testing him. If he wanted to buy her individually, he would sell her separately. If he wanted to buy all of them, he would sell her individually. In any case, she didn't want him to feel comfortable. Do you have any other questions, sir? Zuo maintained her smile. Yi Zichen replied with a faint smile. One more question. Please speak. If I don't have enough money, can I exchange it with something else? Yi Zichen licked his lips. It definitely had to get the barrier-breaking grass. Otherwise, God knows when he would be able to find it again. I have to enter the human immortal level. I can't stay stuck here forever. Of course, but the treasure tower doesn't accept normal items. What I'm selling is naturally not normal. Yi Zichen glared at him. At that moment, Zuo also nodded with a smile. Of course. I'll arrange for you to pick you up right now. Just give him the treasure you want to pawn. With that, Zuo gave Zuo a look. Later, no matter what it is, just say that you won't accept it. No matter what it is later, just say that you won't accept it. Do you understand? Sis, do you really have to mess with him like this? The treasure tower has always been open for business. Since he dared to ask like that in this sort of place, and even said something like that, then he might truly need the barrier-breaking grass. TSK, who told him to treat me like that back then? As for the barrier-breaking grass, it's not something rare for the treasure tower. When the time comes, I'll just give him one if he really needs it. It can't be. Zuo instantly opened his eyes wide. Sis, is this the sis I know? You actually gave someone a gift. Wow, you can't have taken a liking to that guy, right? Fisk, nothing good comes out of a filthy mouth. Hurry up and go. Zuo rolled his eyes in annoyance, then quickly ran over. At the same time, Zuo also smiled towards the crowd. Sorry, the auction has to end for a moment. Apologies, the auction will have to stop for a while. There is a gentleman who wishes to exchange items. Our white treasure pagoda needs to confirm the value of his item. Bro, come with me. At that moment, Zuo had already found his way over. When he saw Yi Zichen, his gaze was extremely strange. Yi Zichen replied plainly, then followed him into a secret room at the back of the auction house. After entering the room, Zuo looked at Yi Zichen with interest for a long time. Don't look at me like that. I'm scared. Yi Zichen subconsciously took 2 steps back, while Zuo quickly waved his hand with a smile. Don't worry, I'll be fine. Zuo quickly waved his hand with a smile. Don't misunderstand. I'm not interested in men either. Zuo quickly waved his hand with a smile. Didn't you say you want to exchange something just now? Hurry up and let me see what kind of treasure it is. Zuo rubbed his hands excitedly. How many celestial shells can you guys give me? Spring Returning Pill, a spiritual grade pill that cost 100 cultivation experience per bottle in the treasure shop. That seemed to be the only thing Yi Zichen could take out. If that still wasn't enough, then he could only get it from a secret scripture. Zuo, who was about to say that he wouldn't accept it after seeing the treasure, was stunned. He looked at the jade bottle in front of him in shock, then carefully opened the cork. Pill. You're a pill refiner. Zuo eyes widened as if he had seen a ghost. Then, he hurriedly ran out. Not long after, a white-haired old man appeared in the room. The old man wore a light red robe with a moon and 3 stars embroidered in the center of the robe. I can't appraise the pill. This is our treasure tower's Earth-grade pill refiner master, Shaoqing. Zuo nodded. The old man also nodded and picked up the pill. He placed it in front of his nose and sniffed it. Very quickly, a surprised expression appeared on his face. My lord, I wonder if I can taste it? Of course, just treat it as us, the treasure tower, buying it. Sure. Yi Zichen finally stopped worrying when he saw the elder's expression. It seems like pill refiners have a very high status in the three realms. My pill seems to have shocked them quite a bit. Chapter 473. Alchemist. The atmosphere in the room froze. Zhuo Yang's gaze moved back and forth between Yi Zichen and the pill refinement master, but mostly on the former. This kid is actually an alchemist? Although Master Xiao Qing did not admit it, he could already tell from his expression that Yi Zichen was a pill refiner. Alchemy was divided into 4 levels: spirit, earth, human, and heaven immortal. Each level was further divided into 4 small levels: beginner, advanced, master, and grandmaster. The symbol on their robes represented their level. The moon represented the major level, and the star represented the minor level. If they reached the heaven-grade grandmaster level, it would be his son. Moreover, from the way Xiao Qing addressed him, it wasn't hard to tell that this kid's strength wasn't just a little bit stronger than his. In the alchemy circle, people of the same grade would generally address each other as fellow Taoists. The so-called same grade referred to the big grade of earth grade, only one rank higher than him. Only such a person would be addressed as Lord. Didn't that mean that he was at least a human-grade pill master? Spring returning pill, a spirit-grade medicinal pill. However, its recovery power is 3 times stronger than a normal rejuvenation pill. Are you a human rank grandmaster? Xiao Qing's words were filled with respect, even though alchemy required a long period of immersion. However, he did not dare to deny that Yi Zichen was not a character grandmaster at such a young age. When one's alchemy reached a certain level, one's appearance was no longer fixed. Human rank grandmaster? Yi Zichen put on a look of disdain. The pills in the treasure shop should have been refined by old Lord Taishang, right? In terms of pill refinement, he's definitely the best. What does a character grandmaster count for? Don't care so much. I'm just asking if you'll accept it or not. Yes. We'll take as many as you have, but I wonder if you have any other pills for sale. Xiao Qing was a little flustered. Judging from the Lord's expression, he seemed to be more than just a character grandmaster. But were there any pill refiners above the heaven grade in the outer regions of the immortal region? Could it be that this expert came from the immortal region? Moreover, why would a heaven-grade alchemist refine this kind of medicinal pill? Of course there is. He took out a spirit congealing pill from his bosom, which was also a pill that was sold in the treasure shop for 100 pills. Xiao Qing carefully picked it up and put it into his mouth. Spirit congealing pill. The effect is also 3 times stronger than ordinary spirit congealing pill. How many of these pills do you want? Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows. He didn't come here to show off. He merely wanted to buy barrier-breaking grass. 2,000 for one. How much do you want? Xiao Qing narrowed his eyes and gritted his teeth. The price he offered was actually already very high. Normally, they would only charge 1,700 to 1,800 at most. The reason why he gave such a high price was to leave a good impression on this lord. How much does the barrier-breaking grass cost? Yi Zichen turned around. Zhuo Liang licked his lips. His sister said that he can't accept it no matter what. This, Xiao Liang, your sister wants to fool around. Are you going to follow along? Xiao Qing glared at him. Zhuo Liang immediately shrunk his neck and smiled. I can't decide. I have to ask my sister. As soon as he finished speaking, he ran out like a wisp of smoke. Xiao Qing, who was in the room, also asked tentatively, May I know what my lord is collecting the barrier-breaking grass for? Refine the barrier-breaking pill. The moment he said that, Xiao Qing's expression turned even more respectful. The barrier-breaking pill seems to only be refined by those of the high-level sky grade and above, and the success rate is extremely low. If we succeed in this deal, then I can sell you one. Yi Zichen wasn't certain whether Zhuo Mo would cause trouble for him or not, but Xiao Qing seemed to have quite a bit of status in the treasure tower. If he could get this geezer to help convince Zhuo Mo, then it wouldn't be a problem for him to sell one to them after he gave the materials to old Lord Taishang. About this, my lord, I will directly gift this barrier-breaking grass to you on behalf of the treasure tower. If you successfully refine it, then please sell one to the treasure tower. We will buy it for a high price. Xiao Qing was so excited that he couldn't speak. A barrier-breaking pill was equivalent to a sky immortal. Just what level is this master at? If he had been a little curious as to why someone of his level would want to buy the barrier-breaking grass at the price of a medicinal pill. Now, even if what this lord said was false, and this medicinal pill wasn't concocted by him, it was possible that there was someone behind this pill. He was prepared to take a gamble. 10 strands of barrier-breaking grass paled in comparison to a barrier-breaking pill. That's so embarrassing. But since you said that, then I won't refuse. Of course, I won't take advantage of you. Whoosh! 2,000 jade bottles suddenly appeared in the room. These are 1,000 spring-returning pills and 1,000 spirit-focusing pills. As for the barrier-breaking pill, if I have any extra, then I'll give it to the treasure tower. Then thank you so much, my lord. Xiao Qing replied gratefully. Zhuo Liang hurried over to the auction stage. So Limo couldn't help but raise his eyebrows when he saw his little brother's hurried expression. How is it? Did you send him away? Sis, there's a problem, Zhuo Liang gulped. That guy is a pill refiner, and he seems to be of a rather high level. Even Master Xiao Qing called him my lord. That's impossible. Zhuo Mo was stunned. How could a pill refiner be so young? And he even made Xiao Qing call him a lord. That's too laughable. What's more, if he really is a pill refiner above the human grade, why would he need to trade for a barrier-breaking grass? Take me over. Bang! The door to the secret room opened. When Zuemo walked in, she saw that the room was filled with jade bottles. Where's Yi Zichen? Zuemo raised her eyebrows. Xiao Qing, who was sitting on a chair, stood up. Zuemo, give those 10 barrier-breaking grass to that my lord after the auction ends. Actually, Zuemo was her real name. The reason why she had called him Zuemo before was purely to lower Yi Zichen's guard. Why? Zuemo raised her eyebrows in confusion. Xiao Qing's expression instantly darkened. Don't worry about it so much. All right, continue hosting the auction. Zuemo waved her sleeves and left the room. Only then did Zuemo clench her teeth hatefully. This is pissing me off. As expected, the barrier-breaking grass was not auctioned off. The bearded man beside Yi Zichen couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. Bro, the barrier-breaking grass is in your hands, right? It's a secret. Yi Zichen smiled, while his tone was filled with joy. Right now, all he had to do was wait for the auction to end before he could take the barrier-breaking grass away. Time passed by, and the auction continued. During this period of time, Yi Zichen, who had nothing to do, calculated the transaction amount. It really was as the bearded man had said. The transaction amount this time really did exceed 10 billion. As the last item was auctioned off, the auction came to an end. Everyone in the auction hall waited for the staff to deliver the treasure to them, and Yi Zichen was naturally one of them. However, at that very moment, a huge hole suddenly appeared on the top floor of the auction hall. Chapter 474. The thief time flies, did you see that? Someone really came to snatch it. Yi Zichen couldn't help but roll his eyes. He didn't care so much. He could snatch whatever he wanted. He just had to hurry up and run with the barrier-breaking grass. The person who dared to come here to rob was definitely not an ordinary person. He did not have the leisure to fight with that person. Stop blanking out. Hurry up and give me the barrier-breaking grass. I'm going to run after I get it. Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows at the staff member in front of him. The people from the treasure tower were all dumbfounded. It had been thousands of years since someone had come to disrupt an auction. Someone really came to rob it. The person who exclaimed was none other than the bearded man beside him. He looked at Yi Zichen in shock. Don't look at me. I'm not part of the gang. Yi Zichen shrugged, then urged the staff to hurry up and give him the barrier-breaking grass. However, right at this moment, the barrier-breaking grass in the worker's tray actually flew up uncontrollably. The other auction items also flew up into the air. When he looked up, he noticed that the man on the roof was holding a cloth bag in his hand. The auction items were flying towards that cloth bag. How dare you? The bearded man suddenly scolded. In an instant, he, who was only at the level of spirit body, suddenly released the spiritual pressure of a human immortal and above. How bold of you to come to the treasure tower to steal goods. As soon as he finished speaking, he flew towards the man. Yi Zichen was shocked. He really didn't expect the bearded man to be one of the experts of the treasure tower. Ha! There is no treasure that I, Shi Qian, cannot snatch. The man on the rooftop smiled evilly. Hearing his name made Yi Zichen speechless. Shi Qian. That name sounded familiar. Shi Qian was the thief among the 108 generals in Water Margin, right? Shi Qian, it's actually him. Zhuo Yang and Zhuo Mo appeared beside Yi Zichen. Zhuo Mo was the one who spoke. Her eyebrows were tightly knitted together, revealing her worry. Can you not care about the flow of time? The barrier-breaking grass was snatched away by that kid. Shouldn't your auction house compensate me with 10 strands? Zhuo Mo immediately rolled her eyes at him. Don't worry, I'll be fine. Well, why do you have to ask our auction house to compensate you when your goods were given to you by old Xiao? Let's wait. If we can snatch it back, we'll snatch it back. If we can't, there's nothing I can do. Zhuo Mo shrugged, indicating that there was nothing she could do to help. Yi Zichen was as speechless as he could be. This was how the Great Pagoda did things. Sure enough, women were the most dangerous creatures in this world. Wasn't it just that he didn't give her any face before? Was there a need to go against him in every way? Zhuoliang, contact the guards. Ale alone won't be able to stop Shi Qian. Just as Zhuo Mo said, the bearded man couldn't do anything to Shi Qian. The other party was as nimble as a monkey, dispersing all of the attacks. Furthermore, the auction items from the treasure tower were also continuously flying into his bag. There really are people who are not afraid of death. Looks like we old bones will have to move a little. Another 3 elders appeared in the sky. Judging from the spiritual pressure they were emitting, they should be experts above the worldly immortal stage. Bullying me with numbers? I don't want to play with you anymore. More than half of the auction items had already entered his bag. Seeing that more and more people were coming to capture him, Yi Zichen knew when to stop. Thus, he quickly tied the bag around his waist and prepared to run. My barrier-breaking grass. Yi Zichen stomped his feet anxiously. At that moment, Yang Jian and Tai Bai Jinxing, who were wearing normal clothes, suddenly appeared in front of him. Bro, long time no see. Yang Jian immediately gave him a bear hug. Yang Jian came up and gave him a bear hug. Tai Bai Jinxing nodded calmly and said, You actually came to the 3 realms as well. You're finally here. Yi Zichen felt like he saw his savior when he saw Yang Jian. The thief who stole his barrier-breaking grass was only a human immortal, but Yi Zichen's movement technique was amazing. He was actually able to hold his own against the attacks of 4 or 5 human immortals. Yi Zichen quickly spoke up when he saw that Yang Jian was about to run away with the treasure. Yang Jian, do you see that shifty-looking guy? Go and snatch his bag over for me. He stole my barrier-breaking grass. Barrier-breaking grass. Yang Jian was stunned, then revealed a look of anger. He actually dared to steal my bro's treasure. He really doesn't want to live. Boom. The spiritual pressure of a sky immortal instantly spread out from his body. The treasure tower members who were fighting with Shi Qian in the air all raised their eyebrows when they felt the pressure. Sky immortal? It's not someone from the treasure tower. Could it be this thief's? Shi Qian also felt it, causing an anxious expression to appear on his face. It was one thing to mess around with a human immortal, but he really couldn't beat a sky immortal. Of the 36 stratagems, running is the best. Shi Qian took out a few smoke grenades and tossed them out, then tried to run away. You want to run? A huge hand suddenly condensed in the air and grabbed him. At that moment, Yang Jian also squinted his eyes and snorted, You want to run in front of this lord? You still want to run in front of me? You really don't put me in your eyes. Oh my lord. What are you saying? Shi Qian smiled apologetically. Shi Qian smiled apologetically. How would I dare to look down on you? You're from the treasure tower? Hey, I was just joking with you guys. Don't mind it too much. Treasure tower? You're not from the treasure tower? Shi Qian's eyes instantly lit up. Then you're here for money, right? What a coincidence, so am I. Why don't we split it 50-50? Shi Qian observed Yang Jian's expression for a while and saw that he wasn't very satisfied. 80/20, you get 80, I get 20. Still not satisfied. 91, everyone is here for money. Little brother, I also put in a lot of effort this time. Just treat it as money for my hard work. Stop bullshitting with lousy. Give me the bag in your hand. Yang Jian frowned. Yang Jian frowned. That was Yi Zichen's request. It seems like the bag is a good treasure. Since I asked Yang Jian to do it, I can't do it for free. I have to take the bag. Hearing that, Shi Qian instantly cried. Not only did I get robbed of the treasure I came for, I even have to give the bag away? However, since the difference in strength between him and Yang Jian was too huge, he didn't dare to refuse. He could only clench his teeth and hand the bag over to Yang Jian. All right, F***CK off. Shi Qian quickly ran away. At the same time, Yang Jian also shook the bag in his hand proudly. At the same time, the guards that Zhuo Liang had invited also came over. When they saw that Yang Jian was the only one in the air, and that he was still holding the bag with the treasure in his hand, they immediately labeled him as a robber. Put down the bag in your hands, otherwise we'll kill you. The guard said coldly. Yang Jian, who had a proud expression earlier, instantly lost his temper when he heard that. He squinted his eyes and looked at the 10-odd guards around him with a snort.